Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I call this meeting of the Prior Lake Savage Area Schools Board of Education to order. Welcome to everyone joining us in person and online. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance as you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have all board members are present this evening. Our first agenda item is Laker Pride. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair Bullion, Board Directors. This evening, we've got one recognition. I would like to congratulate Principal Joe Kabushek, Principal of Hidden Oaks Middle School and Twin Oaks Middle School, on being named the 2025-2026 Administrator of the Year by the Minnesota Association of School Office Professionals. This recognition reflects his leadership and his service to both partner middle schools service to both partner middle schools and Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. And I just personally want to thank him for his leadership at the campus. I know that this managing of the campuses is no easy task, but I know that you've got a really talented team and staff and folks to support you as well. And I just want to say congratulations to you, well deserved, and we really appreciate you a lot.
Thanks, Principal Kay.
Yes. Thank you. Such a well-deserved honor for Principal Kabuchek. All right, next up is the superintendent's report, and I will invite Dr. Thomas to do that.
Yeah, I just briefly want to say congratulations to all of our seniors who graduated last week. And I really want to thank our community for their patience and understanding as we're doing other duties as assigned, tracking weather and making sure that everything went off without a hitch. And we were really lucky by moving it up by 1 hour, because as soon as we were done loading tables, the skies opened up. So really want to thank all the team, Matt Krennick, Dan Powers, the building admin team. It was a beautiful event and really well done. Even with some of the additional measures of support that we had there, it was really well done. So thank you and congratulations to our seniors, and we wish you well as you go off into your next chapter. And speaking of going off into the next chapter, I just want to also say thank you so much to the Prior Lake School Board and the community of Prior Lake. Tonight will be my last board meeting with the district, and just want to say how grateful and humble it's been to serve as the superintendent here in Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. And my heart is mixed. It's a really tough space to be, but I know that we've got great leadership, great schools, staff, and a great community who is ready to take the next chapter here with Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. So thank you all for being a dynamic board, as I've shared on multiple occasions. Being a board member in 2026 is no easy task, and I know that you all are putting in your heart and soul equally to support the work here in the district. So thank you for your support there. And my hope goes out to our community. We know we've had some great successes and celebrations in our community. We also have had our share of challenges, and we know that we'll continue to work through some of those. And, this is something that I just want to implore our community and our staff, that we are always better together. And the staff hear me say all the time, ask questions, push back, and challenge me. It keeps me grounded, keeps me humbled, and allows me to grow. And we can do that in ways that are not disagreeable. And I just really want to emphasize the unity aspect of our strat plan. That's what it's going to take to really continually move the work that we have before us. So thank you all, and thank you to the community for allowing me this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Thomas. Thank you. I'll take 1 second just to say it has been an honor to serve with you and learn with you. So Thank you for that. Thank you for your service to this district. Okay, next up, we have no proclamations at this time, so then we will move to open forum. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes, and please speak in the manner in which you prefer to be spoken to. First speaker tonight on the levy amount is Nicole Kleckner.
Hi, thank you. I'm Nicole Kleckner. I'm a district parent and voter. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to express my strong concern regarding the possibility of approving one of the smaller levy amounts. Given the ongoing financial challenges facing our district, anything less risks further eroding the quality of education our students receive. We are already seeing the real impact of budget shortfalls. Staff reductions, larger class sizes, program cuts, and even school closures are no longer hypothetical possibilities. They're happening now. These decisions affect students every day and have lasting impacts on families and our community as a whole. I understand that levy decisions are difficult and require balancing many viewpoints. However, underfunding our schools comes with consequences that are far more costly in the long run. Strong schools are one of the most important investments a community can make. They support student success, attract families, strengthen property values, and contribute to the overall health of our community. As elected leaders, you have a responsibility to educate the entire community about the realities facing our district. That means helping residents understand not only the challenges we face today, but also the consequences of the choices before us. Leadership requires more than advocacy. It requires honest communication and a commitment to ensuring the public has the information necessary to make informed decisions. For that reason, I urge you to support one of the larger levy amounts. Anything below that feels disingenuous, and it's asking the community to contribute additional resources without providing the level of investment necessary to stabilize and strengthen our schools. Our students, staff, and community deserve transparency, leadership, and a plan that addresses the true scope of the district's financial needs. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration.
Thank you. All right, now our next speaker on levy question and thoughts, Rick Storley.
Thank you very much. I will do my best to get done in 3 minutes. And last time I was here, wasn't the room reversed?
Nope, it was like this.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my bearings here. I'm not losing my mind. So good evening, Chair, Board members, Superintendent Thomas. Again, my name is Rick Storley. I live in Credit River, and I'm here tonight as a resident, a taxpayer, a community member who cares deeply about our schools, our students, our teachers, and the long-term strength of this district. I want to be clear at the start. I do support strong public schools. I support great teachers. I support safe classrooms and support investing in students when the money is tied directly to better academic outcomes. But I do not support asking homeowners for more money without full transparency, stronger accountability, and a clear commitment to getting the district focused back on the basics. So over the last several years, the community has been told the district needs more funding. But when we look at the numbers, revenue has already gone up. According to the information I reviewed, district revenue increased 12% during Superintendent Thomas's tenure. And because enrollment declined, revenue per student increased 15%. At the same time, expenditures increased 17%, spending per student then increased 20%. And the general fund balance declined by about $7.8 million or 36%. So this is not a small concern. It's a pattern of spending more while reserves go down. Now, the question taxpayers have a right to ask is simple. What did we get for the additional spending? Well, unfortunately, academic results are not where they should be. MCA results remain disappointing. The information I reviewed shows about all school spending at just under 60%. Math is just under 58% in 2025, and that's below the 2021, 2022 levels. So it should concern every person in this room. I'm not here to attack teachers, and I don't think teachers are the problem, but leadership priorities matter, and budget decisions matter, and board oversights matter. So for too long, the district has spent money and energy on political and ideological priorities that have not improved reading, math, science, discipline, or classroom performance. Every student should be treated with dignity and respect. That should never be in question, but the mission of a school district is not activism, it's education. Parents and taxpayers want academic excellence, transparency, fiscal discipline, and classrooms focused on learning. So it leads me to the levy being discussed. The public has repeatedly heard the number 3.8 million per year, or 38 million over 10 years. The proposed ballot language does not create a fixed 3.8 million annual cap. It uses a fixed factor of roughly 3.4% multiplied by the district's net tax capacity each year. So it means the factor stays the same, but the amount collected can rise as tax capacity rises. And that is the part taxpayers need to clearly understand. No one can guarantee that net tax capacity will increase at the same rate it did over the past decade. Maybe it's going to be lower, maybe it's going to be higher, but it's not unreasonable to present this as if net tax capacity will remain flat for the next 10 years. If property values and net tax capacity increase, then the amount collected by the levy increases too. So the real question is not whether the 3.427% factor changes. The real question is how much money will taxpayers actually pay over the full 10 years? So of course it matters to every community. Prior Lake, Savage, Credit River, Spring Lake Township, and every other community in the district. So the district's no tax increase, quote unquote, message may be technically true in the first year because the existing debt is falling off. But unless the net tax capacity stays flat or declines, the message becomes incomplete after year one. So taxpayers may still pay more over time because the levy grows with the tax base. So the board's responsibility is to the public, in my opinion. And the public deserves plain English real-world cost projections before being asked to vote. The chart showing that the 3.47% factor is the same for 10 years are not enough. Taxpayers, myself, really don't care whether the factor changes. They care whether the levy will actually cost them. What is my monthly net ask? So I'm asking this board to be more transparent and direct. Before putting the question on the ballot, show the community multiple 10-year scenarios. What would the levy be, say, if it's 0%? If tax capacity goes by 0%, or 3%, or 5%, or 7%, or 7.8% as it has in the past. Show the estimated impact on homeowners in each scenario. Clearly state that the 38 million figure is not a guaranteed maximum if the levy is based on net tax capacity each year. I don't think that's too much to ask. It's basic transparency. And I'll close with one final point about leadership and direction. And Dr. Thomas, I know you're leaving. Congratulations on your new position. I attended the finance symposium that you put on, and someone asked you about, can we get more open enrollment students? And your answer was, well, we're all just shifting the deck chairs on the Titanic. I know that we can't levy ourselves out of this locally. I know there's a lot of issues with the state, unfunded mandates, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think the statement is very revealing in that if we view open enrollment as rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, then taxpayers need to know what the real plan is. So in other words, how will this keep district families here? How will it attract families back? How will it rebuild trust, improve academics, restore financial discipline, and make PLSAS a district families are proud to choose? So the voters rejected the last referendum, and there's a whole lot of conjecture why that was. I don't think it had anything to do with this community being anti-school. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think it means that people just want more transparency, they want trust restored, they want fiscal responsibility, they want better results. So my message tonight is simple: respect the taxpayers, focus on academics, be honest about real long-term cost, show the public the full 10-year impact, spend within your means, and give this community a levy proposal that's transparent, it's disciplined, and it's worthy of trust. So thank you very much. And Dr. Thomas, in the words of Napoleon Dynamite, may all your wildest dreams come true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yep, that's everyone. Okay, next up is the approval of the agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. I'm going to say as presented with one small change. Item number 18, we are not having closed meeting tonight. Okay? So I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda less the the closed meeting.
So made. Second.
Director Olsted, and then Director France. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0. All right. Next up is the consent consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of routine items that have been reviewed in advance by the board and will be considered under one motion. Those items include financials, purchase orders over $25,000, the monthly financial report, cash flow report, approval of school board minutes, personnel items, which include reassignments and district retirements, and that's it. Okay, so does any board member have anything that they wish to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, here.
I actually have a question. Is G supposed to be under consent, or is that supposed to be a separate item, the QComp annual report?
Consent.
Okay, thank you, just making sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I will entertain a motion, to accept the consent agenda by Director Mason.
Second.
And a second by Director Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Okay, moving right along. Next up is item number 11 on our agenda, which is the resolution for acceptance of gifts. Let me get there. Okay. I will now make a motion to approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts. Can I get a second for that? By Director Johnson. Okay. Prior Lake Savage Area Schools is fortunate to benefit from the generosity of our community partners, families, and supporters. On behalf of the board, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to those who have chosen to invest in our students, staff, and schools through the following contributions. We have several tonight. The first one is Laker Promotions, Tracy Fleming, in the amount of $277.75 for Everybody's Playground. The next one is Glendale PTC in the amount of $45,288.09 for Everybody's Playground. Next up is the Laker Educational Foundation in the amount of $30,636 for Everybody's Playground. Next is Jeffers Pond PTC in the amount of $54,171.52 for Everybody's Playground. The Burnsville Savage Lions Club in the amount of $40,000 for Everybody's Playground. Prior Lake Lions Club in the amount of $1,000, and that is for the Educator of Excellence Award. Then the Prior Lake Lions Club for the amount of $1,700 for honor cords and scholarships. Then we have the Prior Lake Savage Optimist for $1,000 for the Educator of Excellence Award. Prior Lake Savage Optimist Club in the amount of $1,000 for the Powwow PA system. Then we have the Laker Educational Foundation in the amount of $1,500 for Powwow. Then we have Twin Oaks Middle School PTC in the amount of $21,041 for the Twin Oaks Middle School Fun Run event and teacher supplies. Then last but not least is the Prior Lake VFW Post 6208 in the amount of $1,000 for the Middle School Honor Band Memorial Day Parade transportation. This item requires a roll call vote. And so with a motion and a second on the table, I'll start with you, Director Smith.
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
And Director Atkinson?
Aye.
That motion carries 7-0. Oh, and I, Amy Bullion, aye. That motion carries 7-0. Thank you again to our donors for their generosity and commitment to the success of our students. All right, moving on to the next agenda item is personnel items. We have 3 action items tonight, and I will entertain a motion for item A, the interim executive director of academic services.
So made?
That is made by Director Atkinson
Second.
and a second by Director Johnson. Is there any discussion or questions for Director Cawthorn? Director Cawthorn, do you have anything that you want to present on that?
Yeah,
Thank
great, thank you. Good evening, Chair Bullion and Board Director, Superintendent Thomas. In front of you, you have a administrative staffing change take effect July 1st. The following administrative changes are being recommended to be effective July 1st of 2026, and any financial implications have been reviewed by Lisa Ryder, Executive Director of Business Services. This staffing change is for the interim Executive Director of Academic Services, and it's to move Dr. Carolyn Warner from Principal and Special Assignment Assistant Director of Academic Service to interim Executive Director of Academic Services, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. It's a cost neutral to fill Dr. Tim Anderson's resignation, and we are excited and looking forward to Dr. Warner and gratefully welcome her to her new role.
Yes, thank you. Is Dr. Warner, she's not, I don't see her. So thank you and congratulations to Dr. Warner. Next up on the
You'll
personnel.
need a vote.
Oh,
You'll need to vote on
I'm so
that.
sorry. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Thank you. Okay, next personnel item is Child Nutrition Services Work Agreement. I will ask for a motion and a second on that
So made.
by Director Smith and Director Johnson. And then I'll turn it over to you, Director Cawthorn.
Great, thank you again, thank you, Board. Once again, in front of you, you have the 2-year work agreement for our child nutrition contract for the years of 2026 through 2028. And it's my recommendation that the proposed terms and conditions between the school board and the employees represented below are approved. Some of the highlights in our child nutrition group, for both years, we were able to do a 4% health insurance allowance increase, as well as on the dental insurance as well. Salary schedule enhancements, both 2.25% and steps in both 26-27 and 27-28. And then we were able to increase the certification pay in levels 2, 3, and 4. We added longevity for years 10 through 14 at 25 cents an hour. We increased their clothing allowance to $200 for full-time employees and $125 for part-time employees. And then we had an unpaid memorandum of understanding, and we put that into contract language, and then there was some other formatting language updates. The total compounded percentage increase over the base year equates to the MSBA percentage of 4.039%. And I just want to thank the child nutrition team that met with the district team. They were phenomenal and awesome to work with, and we were able to do this in 2 meetings.
Any questions or discussion, board members? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. All right, now I will entertain a motion and a second for the third personnel item, which is the operations agreement. Do I have a motion?
So made.
By Director France.
Second.
And a second by Director Olsted. Director Cawthorn.
Yes, thank you. Once again, in front of you, you have the 2-year work agreement for our custodial maintenance contract for the years of 2026 through 2028. And it's my recommendation that the proposed terms and conditions between the school board and the employees represented below are approved. Once again, on the health insurance, we were able to increase the health insurance allowance by 4% each year, as well as the dental insurance. The salary schedule for 26-27 had a 1.5% plus steps, and then 27-28 was 2.75% plus steps. We added a longevity schedule for this group, starting for employees after 5 years of service. We increased the leads stipend to $300, and we moved the high school night lead from Category B to a Category C. And we did a cost-neutral uniform allowance shift where we went from a flat amount to allow the staff some flexibility to kind of pick what they need for replacements in uniforms instead of just mandating certain things. And once again, it was a cost-neutral suggestion that we were able to implement. And then once again, some formatting and language changes. The total compound percentage for this work agreement increase over the base year equates to the MSBA percentage of 5.08%. And the same thing, I'd like to thank the maintenance and custodial group that met with the district. Once again, phenomenal group of people to work with, and we were able to do this in 2 meetings as well.
Incredible. Any questions for Director Cawthorn? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Okay, there is no unfinished business on tonight's agenda, so we will move to new business. The first item, I will invite Dr. Thomas to present on the annual compliance vote for American Indian education. This is an information item only.
Yes.
Dr. Thomas.
Yep, thank you, Chair Bullion and Board Directors. This evening, Ashley Town from APAC will be joining us to, I don't know if she's here yet. Not yet. Okay. I will just share that you have the letter of non-concurrence this year outlining some of the areas that they feel would be great to continue to focus on for next year as we take more steps towards being concurrent with APAC. They've also noted that we've had some transition with leadership that's been out on leave this year. That's caused some challenges to work through some of the partnerships that we've had with our coordinator and the overall APAC group. I've personally then stepped in to fill a lot of those duties along with Angelina Ironcloud, who's been our cultural liaison. I want to thank her also for stepping up and really helping out with this transition time. And then also Dr. Jenny Zumbush has been very instrumental in compiling lots of information and data sources that we've not historically been able to have accessible with APAC, and so we've had much more robust conversations around data. I will give her a buzz here in a moment, but you all have the letter here, and the board will have 30 days to respond, and that is something that in partnership with administration and the board chair that we have sent a response back in, based upon the letter that you have before you tonight.
That on my calendar. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Next up, we have item number 14B, which is resolutions and allocation report for the LTFM and Safe Schools Program for Southwest Metro. This is for board action and requires a roll call vote. Director Powers, do you have anything to present on this? Oh, is it Dr.
Yep.
Thomas?
Sorry, Ashley just walked in.
Oh, yeah, great. Please, come on up.
Sorry.
Please come on up.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's okay.
It's like
We-
watching at the grocery store, and I thought I had time. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up right now.
Sure.
Okay. Well, we understand that usually this letter comes much sooner, but due to a lot of the challenges that we faced, we wanted to give time for the district to provide the proper information, which, you know, we kind of got our hands tied. So hence why we are now presenting our letter. If you guys want, I can just highlight kind of our top 7 things of what we're recommending, and then kind of give our little shout out to the people that helped us. One thing is we did recommend tribal nation training for educators, administrators, and school board members. It's very important to understand all of the nuances that come with a lot of like statute requirements and stuff, so. Curriculum planning is a big one. Like, we understand that we got to be on the teaching and learning committee, but we felt like it was more of like just presenting what's being taught versus actually having our voice about what's being taught. So we definitely recommend working with the APEC to properly teach things, because we look a lot onto the history, but we also don't look on like current, you know, like lives of tribal nations, you know, so it's very much of like, we live in teepees, not houses, you know, like there needs to be a lot more work when it involves the curriculum involving Native Americans, just in general. We definitely recommend like the working with APEC when it comes to professional development. There's not a lot of great resources, but some of us definitely know the resources to utilize. The Dreamcatcher project, we had information last year on it, but we didn't hear anything about it this year, and we feel like it is something that we just need to keep talking about and working with. Responsibility and implementation. There's definitely like a lot more oversight that needs to be done from higher up on what the coordinator or liaison's doing on the day-to-day basis. We feel like it's just kind of a go do your thing and hopefully it's good, where we just feel like there needs to be more oversight of the program in general. And then we definitely recommend doing TNEC. We know we have not met the threshold that we're required to do it, but TNEC is a very useful resource and tool for districts.
Ashley, can you, for the community, TNEC, the acronym, so folks understand?
Oh, sorry, my apologies. It's Tribal Nations Education Committee. They work with so many different schools. They have so many different professionals that are a part of that. So they have countless resources. And it's very good to get schools to work with them to figure out kind of what they're doing right and what needs improvement. So again, we recommend that as well. And then the achievement gap, definitely recommend trying to get it to where it needs to be. So yeah, that's all I have right now. If you guys have any questions, hopefully I can answer them.
Board members, any comments or questions for Ashley?
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. Well, thank you for your time.
thank you for
Absolutely.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you. Okay, then moving forward again, we have an action item, two resolutions. I will ask for a motion and a second on the first one, approval of the resolution approving the Southwest Metro Intermediate School District Number 288's long-term facility maintenance program budget and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of those projects in the district's application for long-term facility maintenance revenue. Is there a motion?
So made.
By Director Johnson, and a second by Director Olstad. Director Powers, you have anything that you want to?
Nothing in particular that stands out on this one. This is
Okay.
pretty standard for us for our inclusion in the Southwest Metro part. So, yeah, nothing in particular.
Any questions for Director Powers before we vote? Hearing none, I'll start with you, Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Olstad.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
And Director Smith.
Aye.
I am an aye, so that passes 7-0. The next resolution up to, I will take a motion and a second, and this resolution is approving the Southwest Metro Intermediate School District Number 288 Safe School Program and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of this program in the district's application for safe school revenue. Do I have a motion?
So made.
By Director Johnson, and a second?
Second.
By Director Mason. Any questions or comments for Director Powers? Okay, hearing none, I'll start with you, Director Smith.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Atkinson. Aye. And I'm an aye, so that passes 7-0. Thank you for being here, Mr. Powers, to walk, in case we had questions. The next item, there is no board action, but this is the first reading of the LTFM 2026 pay in 2027 for fiscal year 2028 discussion. And Director Powers, open it up to you.
Yeah, what we've got here is our normal 10-year plan. I've included a lot of things in here that had been left out of the previous plan, including the roofing projects. I wanted to make sure this is a much more realistic, long-term look. The only thing that, it doesn't go beyond that 10-year. There's a chunk of things that I wish I could put in at the end, that we're just not there yet. The rest of the roofs, there's probably about $25,000 worth of stuff that we could toss on the end. 25 million, excuse me. Think a bigger number. But in all honesty, this gives us a really good chance to, at the very least, keep up on our maintenance issues, the most dire ones. Is there any questions that might be for any of those? I assume everyone's had a chance to speak at it if you haven't.
Board members? Director France?
The only question that I have, because we tended historically to be surprised by this, is some sort of inflationary percentage that's added into things that are closer to, 5 years and beyond. Because normally when they come into net present value dollars, we usually find ourselves slightly underfunded or things have gone a little awry in the market.
No, that's a very good question. So this particular plan, I went with current costs, which are about 30% more than they were just 2 years ago for construction and everything else. So these, just the base numbers have been adjusted by 30%. And that's, I'm verifying those as I get chances to with different estimates on different projects. On top of that, we've also got a yearly adjustment, which will, if you're looking at, a good example might be year 2029, which we're going to have an adjustment of 1.6%, or 6% basically above the cost of this year, which that still won't, I don't think it's going to match it, but I really can't estimate any more than, or any much more than that. So I'll just keep readjusting as we go along. I'll keep monitoring how the inflation's hitting the construction projects. And then if we need to, we'll adjust as we need to.
Thank you.
Just maybe a suggestion as times change and people change, where you wrote on the very last part of your spreadsheet that says total project cost with the inflation factor, maybe you just want to indicate what what factor you used, what percentage you used.
It's a good question.
Just so for historical reasons.
Yep, it's
'Cause I
actually
know-
on the top of the chart.
Oh, it is on top of the chart.
Yeah, and that's, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's something that I want to make sure everyone sees. I'm not just throwing out these weird numbers. It's going to be
Right.
1.05, 1.055.
Okay.
Typically, I advance it by 0.5% for each year. There again, just because we don't know. But yes, on the top of the chart, those adjustments will be there.
Okay, perfect. Oh, wait, okay, yep, I see that. I see that now.
There's a lot of stuff on that chart. And that's why I want to make sure that, I mean, I've brought several different iterations of not just this one, but every other one to the board. And yes, things change.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you know where to look for those things as they change.
No, I appreciate that. I think that's helpful.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to the next item, which is the annual lead and water management plan. Don't go too far, Director Powers. This also is report only, but Director Powers, if you have anything to share on that.
So this is a typical of our yearly announcements, proclamations that we put out there to show that we are doing our due diligence to check for lead in water and making sure that if we do find it, that we're mitigating it in however way we do it. A couple of things, just for general knowledge, a couple of things that we look at. If we do get a test where it's a little bit elevated, first thing we're going to do is make sure that it's not just because the tap hasn't been used or run. Sometimes the water, if it's stagnant, will test a little bit higher. If that's not the case, then we'll start looking at other types of things. I haven't run into any of those situations here in Prior Lake. I have in other districts where we actually will have to, if we run into a situation where it's testing high, we may have to replace piping from whatever distance we need to. So it could be all the way from the boiler room where the water is coming into the building all the way to that particular faucet where we're testing high. Usually if we're doing something like that, it's testing in more than one location high. Usually if we're testing, we've got one classroom where it's high, I'll take out that drinking water fountain, or I'll take out that wash station and piping around there, and that usually takes care of it. So this statement basically is telling people that, yes, we are paying attention to that, and we're gonna help make sure that we mitigate that if we do find it.
Questions, discussion? Hearing none, thank you, Director Powers. All right. Next up is item number 14E, Language Access Plan. The plan was presented at the May 18th study session. Board action is requested tonight. Director Chuka is available for any questions, but I will have, oh, she's not here. Oh, sorry. I will entertain a motion and a second for that.
So made. There was a lot of them.
Well, Dustin?
Director Smith and Director Atkinson.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, we will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And that passes 7-0. All right. Next up is the consensus resolution for community education that we will take action on, adopting the resolution for the certification of the district's 719 census. For the district 719 census. Is there any?
Correct. I don't think Joel is with us tonight, but just, oh, you got, okay, Lisa.
Oh,
I was gonna do it.
okay, so I'm going to entertain a motion and a second for that first.
So made.
By Director Atkinson.
Second.
And a second by Director Johnson. Director Ryder, you have something to share?
Yes, Joel asked me to just kind of help people understand what this is about. Our levy requires that the funding for community education is based upon the census. So when you find that there is an increase in the census from one year to the next, then it is an important thing for us to consider having this resolution approved so that it can then be reflected on the levy with the proper census information and the proper dollar amounts being calculated then for the levy.
Very good. Any questions, board members? All right. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. All right, the next item on the agenda is our enrollment report, and I will turn it over to you again, Director Ryder.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so for the enrollment report, we have the similar reports that you've seen on a regular basis. So let's start with the one that is for, I'm sorry, I'm just got myself lost here a little. We'll start with the enrollment history, which has been updated through the month of June, June 1st. And you will see that the grades are all listed across that spreadsheet, and we run with a total of 8,431. These counts, as you may recall, are kind of head counts, right? And they are not necessarily reflective of average daily membership, meaning the calculation that is used in order to do the funding. The calculation identifies if a student's here partially, then they may not be a 1.0 ADM, but they might be something less that still contributes towards our total funding. And you can see that our final fall count from October was 8,536. So from 8,536 to 8,431 is a comparison that one can make because they are both head counts. When you make the comparison to the revised budget, which is in the peach color, at least that's what I see, that number we budgeted is 8,501. So we are lower than what we had budgeted, but again, we will find ourselves seeing that calculation depending upon, because we were slightly above for a few months there. So it's just a question of how much that total ADM calculation comes out to be. And as we report on a routine basis now, our MARS data that is being calculated, and we'll have more final information come July. That's that report. We'll go next to the kindergarten report. And it has, this is kind of, I'm showing every week, okay? So you can go back and see the various different, how this all shifted and changed. If you recall, when we worked with our budget calculation for revenue for 26-27, we had initially thought 529 for kindergarten, and I suggested that we lower that to 489 as our information from principals and what they thought they were actually going to see in each of their schools was leaning more towards that 489 number. So as of May 29th, for example, we are at 481 as projected, if you consider us being 95% of the way to having everyone enrolled. And so that's much closer than what we had a few, like a month or two ago, right? So I'm feeling better about that. We still, I mean, they're very busy with enrollments at this time, so we're just gonna keep rolling through all those enrollments that are coming in, and we'll be continuing to give you this information as we move forward.
Board members, any questions or discussion for Director Ryder?
I just have one question about funding and the loss of enrollment. When we go back to, it always seems like every year we lose about 100 students from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I understand we get the majority of our funding in October. How does the funding, when we lose students throughout the year, because there is some ADM funding as well, can you just explain for our community how that funding works? And I know there's students that graduate, there's PSEO, there's a lot of
Yep, there's a
factors,
lot of
especially,
factors.
because most of it is at the high school, it looks like.
Yes.
But I just think it's important for the community to understand that, that the impact that has to the enrollment.
Right.
Or, and to the revenue, I'm sorry, the revenue generated in the district.
So the state requires reporting of student counts twice a year, fall and end of year. And so the fall reporting is something that can be adjusted up until December 31st. But it is supposed to be those students that were actually being served as of October 1, if they're enrolled as of October 1. So you can find that, remember, all of our information we submit to the state has to be edited against every other school district in the state. So if somebody else is claiming the same student for a day, that's going to be an error, and neither of us are going to be able to claim that student until it gets cleaned up. So that's kind of how that works for the fall. It is used more as it's not a calculation of ADM, because at fall, October 1, it's like how many at that date, right? So that's where I say it's a head count. However, October numbers are oftentimes used for many other purposes, right? When talking about free reduced eligibility and how that then has in the past been our compensatory red formula, or it can be the number that is used in a grant reflected of what is your proportionate free reduced compared to your total population as of October 1. That doesn't, when you use those numbers, you're not worried about the ADM. It's a count, right? And so those percentages can mean a little bit more that way. When we talk about year-end numbers, Mars reporting, our year-end reporting started, I believe, I want to say she started doing that in April. And we're going to continue that all the way through December 31st as well. But typically for us, because we have an earlier audit, we work really hard to get all of our errors cleaned up as soon as possible. And are looking at our July submission to be like our final submission of any significant change. And anything after that would just be kind of responding to other districts that had an error and we have to help fix it. And so you'll find that usually if you look back our July or our August reports of our Mars data and what that looks like on a finance perspective, they're pretty close to what we used in our audit. Those numbers, though, can shift and change up through December 31st. Your revenue is always going to be based on the final numbers, but our audit has to happen sooner, and so there are estimates that we're making at that point in time, and that's how we're booking that. Trying to get back to your point of how is this important and necessary for our community to understand. Average daily membership is for all grades K through 6. A 1.0 means it's a student who's here from the start of the school year to the end of the school year and was enrolled with us fully. If you are grades 7 through 12, you can still be here the same full year, but now you're times 1.2 because of the weighting. And that weighting helps us to address some of the additional costs that we have at the secondary level. So in total, you're taking a look at the average daily membership of all students served throughout the year. When you have a PSEO student, for example, they may or may not be included in our count depending upon what school they attended. And so that gets really kind of confusing, and it's hard for me to make a blanket statement because we have both happening. So it's really about making sure that every single student has an enrollment number, every single student's time that they are served with us has to be closely monitored and calculated. That's why attendance is so important to us as well for families. And so it's something that they work really hard to do. This file that goes in on a routine basis is very long and is all, numbers across the whole page. And so it's a matter of that data being submitted, edited, resubmitted with errors being cleaned up, and we just keep working at it until we get it where it's a completely clean file and then submit that final. Does that help?
Yeah, I'm just like, if you look from like May to June, loss of 30 students, do we lose funding for that? I think I probably should have simplified my question.
Yeah, so
Sorry about that.
we might, but you can also see July and August, we were over that number, right? So it's gonna become an average overall. I did look
average,
back
okay.
and you can see that there's some years in which we had, we were above the final, we were above the budgeted number for like half the year, and then we fell below it, right?
Just an average.
That's probably more closely to the average. This year, we were above 2 months, and then we fell below it. So we had a stronger decline this year than we had seen in the last year. And that is something that we're gonna have to kind of watch and monitor. Again, that could be a result of, remember, it's a head count. So if more of our students were PSEO, they weren't present, right? But the question now will be they be counted as us receiving aid or not? When we receive aid on students who are attending PSEO, that means we're paying their bill. When we don't receive the aid on the PSEO students, we're receiving a very small piece, and then we don't pay a bill. The state pays it for us.
That's interesting.
Okay?
Thank you. That's
Yep.
helpful.
Any other questions?
Just one, on the 457 that we have, I think as we're accepting open enrolled in students, we're putting them into that number, right? Do you know like the recent count of open enrolled versus in district of that 457?
I'm sorry, I just gotta get to where you are, 457.
Sorry, the kindergarten enrollment.
Okay, hang on.
As
Kindergarten
of
enrollment.
529.
Oh, okay, so, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was just asking, what is the?
How many
is the
are open
number of
enrolled?
Open enrolled versus in district, do you have that handy, or?
I do have it handy, just give me one moment.
Yeah. She specified.
Okay, so, let's see if it has a sum total at the bottom, I think it does. I can see, there's no subtotal, but I have total with OEA. Okay, so let's see, I can subtract it here. Looks like we have 74. Total all school students is 3211, total students with new OE. I'm looking at 74 students. Wait a minute, hold on. Wrong tab, my apologies.
I can follow up too if you don't have it.
I think I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I have to add some numbers and I don't wanna do that and get it wrong.
Yeah, I was
Let me
just
do that.
curious how we were looking as far as
Sure.
the balance of that.
I'll get
Thank
those
you.
numbers for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda is the final 2026-27 budget adoption. This will be action and roll call vote. I will entertain a motion and a second
Made?
by Director Olstad,
Second.
by Director France. And then we'll open it up for any questions for Director Ryder.
So in May 18th, you heard and saw the narrative document, and nothing really was changed from that document except a few tweakings that I mentioned as I went through that in May. The narrative does explain what we assumed for each of the different areas of revenue in the 26-27 school year's budget that we developed. It does talk about the enrollment change over the next 5 years. It talks about food service, community education, and debt redemption as well, so people can understand our next year's budget. Then it switches over to assumptions that were used in a 5-year projection. and focuses on the revenue as well as expenditures and the enrollment projection and the analysis there. It does provide, when you begin on page 10, page 10 is a nice sheet that is able to see like what is our projected balance at the start of this year for fund balance, what is the, at June 30, 26, what is the projected revenues now included in the budget for general fund for 27, along with the expenditures, and what is that projected balance at the end. It does provide that we are going to be projecting over the 8% fund balance policy that we strive to attain and maintain. You do see on the middle section of that report, the restricted for, and all of the list of things that we are required to carry a fund balance for if we have any dollars unspent. And so those are listed there. So what we do is we take the total budget, we subtract off all these that are restricted, and it's the unassigned then, or dollars that are, even special ed is considered unassigned in this circumstance, that are available for other things that are not listed below in the restricted. And that is then what you see at the top part. And that's what we use our calculation for the fund balance. I would note that there is an additional document that I believe was provided to everyone on the board with regard to the breakdown of that unassigned or that top part number for that 113,190,410. And it ties to help understand exactly where are those dollars being spent, as that was a question asked recently. So that's something to take note of. I would then point to pages 11, 12, and 13 as being projections for 3 different, I'll say, what-if scenarios. Table A is if we were to just retain our current referendum allowance and that were renewed, and what those years would look like. You'll see that the expenditures remain the same in each of these 3 tables. Table B takes the information, but now it revokes our current referendum and replaces it with 1,386 per adjusted pupil unit. And that is what you would see for revenue. The expenditures stay the same. And then table C is using the assumption of revoking our 623.97 and replacing it with 1,741 per APU. I know we've been talking a lot about what's the increase, right? And so let me put that into perspective. Table A is 623.97. Table B is, and that's $25.75 per month right now. The Table B is the $32 extra per month, and that is the $7 million is what's generated there, and that's the $1385.97 technically. I rounded here. And then that Table C is going to be the $46 per month, or $1,740.97 per APU. That generates a total or additional revenue, of $10,262,214. So that is reflected and proposing, like, or showing that going forward. Page 14 shows the graphic visual of that, and then our enrollment. So just talking through that, that's the narrative that you have before you, what you need, and I would ask that action be taken on is the resolution, which shows the funds, the total revenues in each of those funds, and the total expenditures.
Board members, questions? Discussion?
I just have a question. It says in our board policy 701 that we are to provide any district, a community member, a copy of the budget, detailed budget, upon the request. What would we be providing to them if they were to ask for that? Because you've sent us several documents, which are helpful, but there's not one one document that has all the information in one place.
I think that all of these tables, A, B, and C, are reflective of what we have been showing for the current year 26-27 is shown there, second column in. And it shows it both, it's what we show monthly, it's what we're showing here in our projections, and it is what we show in our financial statements. So for me, I would suggest that that is the most consistent document we have that is going to show that level of detail. Detail can be very subjective, like what does it mean to you, what does it mean to me, right? And so if you're talking about what statute requires, they require something that looks a lot more like page 10, where you have to list out your beginning fund balance, your revenues, your expenditures, and your ending fund balance. And that's in a particular format, that the state requires and must be published. That is on our website from 25, for the 25, it was done last fall and would have been reflective of the audited 25 and our budget for 26 at the time, which would have been the adopted. So we'll do that again as we have the audit for 26 completed and show then that adopted budget for 27. So that's another report sometimes people are referring to when they ask for that summary information. Does that help you?
Yeah, I just think consistency of documents is something that I've struggled with on our board, and I know we've had change in, change in your role, so it's just consistency. I think it helps it make it easier to understand the documents for myself and for our community. So, thank you.
Anybody else?
No, I mean, for me, I've sent in several questions. Thank you for answering them. And I guess the only piece I'm still uncomfortable with is just including the revenue from the sale of the DSC property and also having expenses and doing a build out on Greenwood before we actually have that funding. So, I don't love spending money before we have it. So that's my concern. I know, hopefully everything goes well, but we're still in the due diligence period and we don't have, closing dates, nothing is approved, things like that. So
Yeah.
Just a statement that I'm uncomfortable with that.
We do have the revised budget, which is an opportunity for us to adjust for any changes that may occur between now and then. And it is not our expectation to spend those dollars on anything until those dollars are in hand.
So we wouldn't be doing any Greenwood build out for
Build out
administrative
for
staff?
administrative staff, we are moving to tables and chairs that are just lined up in rooms. There's no build out until this is
Kind of a
completed.
shared Google space temporarily.
Yep.
Until we
Until
work through all.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none.
I just have a couple of comments, I'm sorry, I'd like to add.
Oh,
if
sure.
it's okay.
Go ahead, Deb.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most important responsibilities of our school board is adopting a balanced budget, and I'm really proud of the work that has gone into bringing this balanced budget forward to our community this evening. I think, a lot of the reasons why the district was able to achieve a balanced budget was through a lot of the hard decisions that we've made at our table here, whether it's the sale of the DSC, elementary school consolidations due to declining enrollment. We've received special additional increased funding for special education. And despite the ongoing challenge that we can see with the loss of enrollment, also equals loss of revenue, we're able to bring a balanced budget, which I'm very proud of. My concern, and I've said this before, and you'll hear me say it again tonight, is that my concern is not whether the budget is balanced, but my concern is that this budget does not reflect the priorities the board adopted last fall. And I raised this concern when I voted no on the budget reductions that were brought forth by administration, and I raised this again our last study session. The guardrails that we adopted by the board last fall clearly directed the district to maximize operational efficiencies so that more resources could be directed towards classroom instruction and student learning. If that goal was not achievable, I would just like to ask why that concern was not raised with the board in November of 2025. Of the more than $4 million in reductions made to balance this budget, approximately 64% were student-facing cuts. The remaining reductions came through elementary school consolidations. While we have discussed these reductions in detail, we have not seen how they result in more resources reaching the classroom. This includes support for our advanced learners following the elimination of the SAGE program, despite the fact that the board did not support that reduction and Dr. Thomas committed to redefining how we serve gifted learners. Without a replacement program in place, many families have chosen other educational options, resulting in that loss of enrollment that we continue to see and the loss of revenue. When we reduce teachers and student programs rather than administrative positions, families will choose to seek alternatives they believe are better to meet the needs of their students. I recognize and I appreciate the work that went into balancing this budget, and I support responsible fiscal management. However, I do not believe that this budget reflects the priorities adopted by the board last fall. Thank you.
Anybody else? Dr. France?
First of all, I know that our current financial situation is fairly dire, and with the budget cuts, people are doing more than one job right now. We have a skeletal administrative staff. Most of them are also taking on 2 roles at one time, which is really, really difficult. Things like having 1 payroll specialist for the number of people we have is insane. And our educators are exhausted. They do make up well over 80% of our total cost. This does reflect the additional costs that we see, including the 2 contracts that we just approved, because you have to have increased amounts just to give people a living wage, which for some are still barely in education. We saw a 13% increase in our healthcare, and that was after probably a ton of work to keep that number within control. As a business owner, many of myself and my colleagues have seen excess of 30% increase in health. So I do appreciate the work this administration has done. And quite frankly, we really need to do something about increasing the revenue through levies, simply because we're continuing to starve our district while we're asking them just to eat less and do more. And it's, we're in a sad situation, so I'm really hoping that the community sees these numbers, understands these numbers, calls administration, and gets their questions answered in a fact-based way, and that we get out of this mess somehow. But I do appreciate the work that administration has done, that our leadership has done, and the sacrifices our educators and staff have made in order to continue giving the level of service that our students deserve.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we will go on with our roll call vote, and I will start with you, Director Smith.
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Nay.
Director Johnson?
Nay.
Director Atkinson?
Nay.
And I am an aye, so that passes 4-0.
For 3.
Or 3.
4-3. Thank you. Can't add. Like I say to my kids, that, you know what I meant, right? Okay. Next up, we have the Prior Lake School Bus Association Transportation Contract. This contract was presented at the May 18th study session, so we are going to take action on that. I'll take a motion and a second
So made.
by Director France,
Second.
and that's by Director Johnson. Director Ryder, do you have anything to share on that?
Just a bit of a summary for the public. This is an agreement that it has taken us some time to put together. And that whole time has, from my perspective, felt very collaborative and very beneficial for the district in the whole, I believe. This agreement takes us forward 5 years. With the option to have conversations again for negotiation of future rates without having to do an RFP after those 5 years if that were chosen. There is quite a bit of information in this contract that comes from what we asked for in our request for proposals. And this contract has been reviewed by our attorneys as well as their attorneys. There is the summary of rates and fees that you will see at the very end of the contract. And there is a list also of the equipment, and there is some items within this agreement that are kind of a work in progress. One is our routing for this year and putting it into a new system, which will adjust and modify things as we move forward. Additionally, there are some things that we've asked for in the RFP that aren't in place at this moment, but won't be in place either overnight, right? So it's going to take a little time, so we have a plan to build into it, and that's what you'll see on the last few pages with regard to equipment. So I feel very positive about this agreement in the fact that it was work that was sincere and very I felt meaningful, because there was a lot of information that we both had to share. And that was a very good process for us. So very thankful to all parties and for the work that Michelle Chuka did with us in helping to just have the conversation and help us understand special education better too as well. And Dan Powers overseeing the transportation. This, I think, has already been signed and is in your hands to sign if you approve tonight.
Directors, any comments or questions?
I'll just comment. I think I'm so grateful that we're able to continue to work with the Prior Lake Savage School Bus Association. As a parent has had kids riding those buses for a long time, they just offer a tremendous service to our districts and are so friendly to parents and so welcoming and helpful for students. So I'm grateful that we're able to come to terms with them and look forward to seeing some efficiencies, hopefully, with the contract, so.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Director Johnson?
As far as the routing, you said it's still in progress. Do you have an estimated time for that?
Yep. So they finished all the routing of the summer school students on the new system. There was some work I think they felt they still needed to kind of do manually. The challenge before them on summer school is always, you have an initial list, and then you have families making decisions to go, well, I changed my mind, I'm not going to, or maybe I will add on. And so they have been dealing with a lot of changes on a daily basis. And so getting to a point where they finally feel like this is set and good has been a lot of work on their part. And when I say they, I do mean the folks at our bus garages, particularly Lindsay and Nikki and their teams, and then also CISO. CISO's working to help them answer their questions on, how do I do this in the system? Does this look right to you? Is this in right? A lot of our information, we used to hand key in all the information, and now there's more opportunities with the new software, which we will explore further as we build out next year's routes, but opportunities to import data and not necessarily key it all in, right? And so those kinds of efficiencies will certainly be made use of. But the next step is for us to be working with the data that needs to go from our Infinite Campus to the easy routing so that it feeds it every night, any changes that occur. And that was not happening previously for all students. It was happening only on our gen ed routes. And so that's going to be a significant change for us. And I think that we're hopeful that will make things much easier as a whole.
Okay, and then kind of a follow-up. So everyone is getting hands-on with this. This isn't something that we are waiting to get in.
No, and
Okay.
I know members of our bus company are here, so if there's anything you want to speak to, but I think everything is, there's just conversations going back and forth, is like, do you need any help? Is everything set and ready to go? From what we see, this is what we're seeing. How does that look to you? And so it's the ability for someone to oversee it who understands how this product works.
Yep. And
yet the details of getting everything in is being learned as you do it, right? And that's important. And so I think I'm impressed by how well things seem to be going from my perspective, but I'm on the fringe.
Yes.
So.
I guess my head goes, okay, it's the first day of school, and I don't want something to go really wrong,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Like it did this
obviously,
year?
I'm obviously.
Like it did this year
I
when it
know
went down the
everybody
day before?
is thinking the same thing, so that's my biggest concern, to make sure, obviously, you all have enough time to play with this thing, and that you're comfortable with it, that we have, obviously, it's gonna be the first day of school, so there's gonna be things, so that we have, the least hiccups as possible.
Summer school, for instance, so we did all of the work on easy routing and had it set our ways, but we also did it the way that we normally did then, like taking the routes that we built on easy routing.
Come on up.
Wasn't ready for this.
I know
Right
you
after
were,
you
I
repeat
know,
yourself.
Look, so They can hear
You
you.
weren't ready.
Explain. So we took easy routing and we put all of the students in there that we're gonna have for summer school and updated their forms for what each student requires. And then we built the routes on easy routing, asked questions as we need to. We also, for our driver's sake, they don't like change as much. And so we went back to just like typed it up as we normally would have so that they could see it both ways. So that if something would happen, we still have that side of things as well. Just as like a transition piece to help get us through. And I know going forward, we can message parents with their pickup times and bus stop times and whatnot. We still called all the families this time around too, just because that's what they're used to. So just until we work through everything and get it situated, it's a transition phase.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make a statement? My name is Jerry Behrens. I'm one of the supervisors for Prior Lake School Bus. And I just want you guys to know that our negotiation process was a very tough process. And we just want to give a huge thank you to both Lisa Ryder and Michelle Chuka for their willingness to listen to us, for their open communication, and just their patience with us. And, you know, it's never easy when you're in a situation like this. But I have to applaud them. I mean, they were so good to work with. So I want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you for
you.
sharing that.
Thank you.
I know when Director Ryder said that the work has been meaningful, it's truly, the meaning comes in the relationship and the collaboration, and that has been evident from the very beginning. So kudos to all of you. Thank
It
you.
helps that we're taxpayers and family. Like,
Yeah.
My kids
Yeah.
go here. I
Yeah.
want them to have the good
Yeah.
experience.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so with that, we will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Okay, where are we? Okay, next up is the collaborative student transportation contract that we will take action on. I will take a motion and a second for that. By Director France.
Second.
And a second by Director Smith. Director Ryder, do you have anything to share on that?
Just a little bit of a why do we have two contracts like we do? All of our general ed routing will be managed fully and solely by the Prior Lake School Bus Association, as well as our special education routes. We are looking for a backup support for when it comes to students that need to be transported outside of our district. They may be needing transportation for a care and treatment or a homeless situation or possibly special ed needs. But it's having the agreement in place and yet having it just kind of there in case we need it. And so they understand that that's what they do. They work with many districts in the metro area just solely for that purpose of being kind of we can be your extra support. This could help us as the year goes on. Oftentimes, the needs can rise, and you may or may not necessarily have a lot of room on your routes unless you disrupt a bunch of other students and such. And so this could be an answer for us as we move forward in some of those areas. As you take a look at, so the 5-year agreement as well, it has its rates laid out, 4% increase every year. And I should have mentioned that was the case on the other contract as well, with a few exceptions on that. So not a lot done here with regard to dialogue and conversations as their rates are kind of put out in the proposal, and we intend to use them, and they know so, on a fringe basis.
Thank you for the proactive work on that. Board members, any questions or discussions? Hearing none, I will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, next up is adoption of resolution establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. Roll call is requested here. And so I will take a motion and a second for that.
So made.
By Director Johnson and a second by Director France. Okay, is this you, Dr. Thomas? Are you presenting on this?
Yeah, I'll just share, as I did the last time, the critical component of the resolution, that the period for filing affidavits of candidacy for the office of the school board member of Independent School District Number 719 shall begin on July 14th, 2026, and shall close on July 28th, 2026. An affidavit of candidacy must be filed in the office of the school district clerk, and the $2 filing fee paid prior to 5:00 PM on July 28th, 2026. In the resolution, you will see the copy of the form that they would come to complete. And I just want to remind potential candidates that the general election shall be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026. At that election, 4 members will be selected to the school board for terms of 4 years each. Those are the critical components. The only other thing I would note is that the forms will be available here at the district office. Later in July, potentially into August, we will be officed out of the Greenwood building. And so we would make sure that anybody who is filing, that we would remind them of where that new turn-in date may be if it conflicts with the date of the closure of the candidacy window.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say
It's a
nay.
resolution.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Sure.
Roll call.
Both of
Oh.
them.
Oh, yeah, roll call vote. I didn't mark that. Okay, thank you. Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so that passes 7-0. All right, next is adoption of resolution establishing procedures for the counting of write-in votes for the school board election. I will take a motion and a second for that.
So made.
Director Johnson?
Second.
Director Atkinson? Yes. Okay. Dr. Thomas?
Yes, just really briefly, I would just share that there's an option for folks to have write-ins, and that we would be following Minnesota Statute Section 204B.09 Subdivision 3C to adopt a resolution governing the counting of write-in votes for local elective offices. That's the key thing. I'll make sure that it's read, that we will follow statute for any write-ins and protocols for counting said write-in votes.
Very good. Well, that is roll call vote as well, so I will start with you. Director Atkinson?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Aye, that passes 7-0. Okay, next up is the capital project levy. This item is authorizing administration to prepare and submit, review, and comment to the Minnesota Department of Education as defined within the ballot language as presented. I'll take a motion and a second for that.
So made.
Director Mason and Director Olsted, and this is not roll call. Okay. And then I'll open it up for questions or discussion. Dr. Thomas, you want us to present?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this evening, Board, we'll be sharing with you a more granular itemized conversations that we've been having as an administrative team, outlining some of the needs that we've identified through a capital levy that we are proposing that the board and ultimately bring to the community for their consideration. What we have here would not be as granular that we would submit to the state, but we wanted you all to understand kind of what was the thinking behind some of the components that we would be ultimately aggregating up into big themes that we would send to the commissioner for review, and that there is options for any revisions as well, even after said review period by the end of the month. Should, new leadership and other staff coming on board have additional conversations or perspective that they would like to add, that may change that, in addition to how we would then begin crafting the capital levy project campaign. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Director Ryder.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I can go to the podium if you prefer to have me show this to the public.
Sure.
Okay.
Whichever.
That would be good.
That'd be good.
So what we've got included here, as Dr. Thomas has mentioned, is a bit more detailed than what we plan to put into the review and comment, but the request before you right now is for us to be able to move ahead with that. And so, let me just find this right one here. So this document, let me make it bigger. That may be a little bit too big. There we go. Okay, so we're starting at the top, and we receive general education funding that is dedicated for operating capital needs. We have seen that those dollars come before, and it's all part of our gen ed formulas, okay? That is the green bar that you see. And for us, that's about a $2 million mark as to how much revenue is usually available there. We have broken that down into what is technology, teaching and learning, and operations as to what those budgets would look like. And you'll see that some of those years look a little bit light compared to others. And I'm grateful for that, because if that were the case, it would allow for us to possibly save some money in the long run. And what I mean by that is a lot of our curriculum tends to come to us with, here's the cost if you buy it each year, right? But if you were to buy it 5 years at once, we'll cut you a really good deal. And yet we don't have the buying power, right? We don't have the possibility for us to purchase something for $600,000. All we can maybe afford is the $150,000. You follow me? So it's that kind of a concept that we are going to review and determine whether or not that's a possibility for us moving forward if everything were to work out like this plan defines. So when you see things that like 29, for example, where it's lighter, just know that's what we would be thinking of trying to do. Now, the sales proceeds I left out of the operating capital that you see above because it's not our norm, right? So that's in the white boxes you see in the middle there. You see that there's $2.4 million in sales proceeds over a 2-year period. The plan at this moment is for that Grainwood ESC, Educational Services Center, and that build out. So $450,000 earmarked. The next row is debt-related capital levy reduced revenue. This isn't an expense. This is where our levy has been reduced by that amount for those 2 years. To compensate for that and still have our operating capital dollars available for our needs, we would be utilizing this fund balance, the proceeds, okay, over those 2 years. If for some reason the proceeds were not available to us this year, then we would have to have that in a revision and how we would manage that between general fund and operating capital. The last row there is the undetermined use of proceeds. What's remaining? The $555,387. Unknown yet. Will it be curriculum needs? How best can we and will we use those? Then we talk about everything in the blue area. The blue area is what we're calling the total capital project levy. So this is where we laid out for the 10 years, year 1 through year 10, beginning fiscal year 29 on. And some of the items you're seeing there might be things that we were otherwise covering in our normal operating capital. For an example, the second row is KM year 1 through 4 leases. What is KM? Konica Minolta copier machines, okay? So that is where we know we're going to be complete with our current contract, and we'll have a new contract that we would need to address. Other examples then you can see, and you can read through those various different items that you see here. I want to point out on the far left, we have 3 main themes. This is where our review and comment will focus on. We will keep it higher level, and we will talk about these main 3 themes. Is it infrastructure? Is it safety and security? Is it instructional investment plan? And what do I mean by that? Things like the second to the last, utilities to free up unassigned. Statute changed. We're now able to utilize that. We currently pay for all of our utilities under the general fund, not capital. Okay? We have about $2.5 million we pay in utilities. If those dollars were instead utilized using the capital projects levy, that then frees up these general fund dollars so we can invest that in instructional. And so you can see those last 2 lines on this sheet shows items that can become $1.5 or $2.7 million over the course of those 10 years each year. And that would be where we would then be able to utilize those dollars for some of the other operational needs in the classroom, whatever that might look like, okay? So what we wanted to do is try and determine like what's up here in the norm operating capital, what is it that our needs are down below here. There was a row, and it is the one that says, it's the school site improvements, example storage, and therefore, that row has been, that's my plug line. It's the line that makes everything at the top say 3.8 mil, okay? Because if there's any dollars that are not allocated that year, that's what we're gonna look to do, is what kinds of improvements can we make to assist our building sites. So with that, I just wanted to explain that document, and what we're looking for as far as action tonight is the ability for us to move forward with this review and comment that needs to go to the Department of Ed. The commissioner receives it from us. If we get it in by June 30th, that means they have 60 days, which will be before the election process begins. And so our voters will know for sure, like the ballot language says, that it has a positive review and comment from the state.
Questions, comments? Director Olsted?
Yes. So if we send it in for the review and comment, is there a scenario where they come back and say, we don't like this, start over? Does that happen ever?
I mean, my past experience has been on review and comments, not about a capital project levy, because in my past experience, that's only been used for tech purposes. And when that's the case, then you don't need to do one. But when you're doing a building project, you absolutely have to have a review and comment, and that's been my exposure. And I have had plenty of pushback on the review and comments when we've sent that in. We've had the architects helping us write that. We will utilize Ellers and Associates to assist us in helping write this one as well. We have 3 examples of other schools and how they put it together. It truly is, it's more to give them a general idea of what is the plan, you know, and for us to have these kind of themes, I'll say, for people to understand where it is we would be utilizing this. The bottom line, though, is for us, this is a means for us to be able to stretch those dollars as far as possible so that we can see what we can do and keep things balanced as much as possible for the next 10 to 12 years.
So getting feedback from the review and comment is pretty common.
Yeah.
And then, but it doesn't sound like it's ever a no.
I can't speak to exactly how they function with the capital projects levy because they usually have 2 different teams, right? But I can speak to the fact that what we're asking for isn't like, we don't have a specific project that we're looking to do with this. Like, say we're gonna do, I don't know, if we didn't have secure entries to our buildings, that is where I've seen this used quite frequently, where it's like, we're gonna stage this out and we're gonna use that amount of money every year, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do these 2 schools now, and then we're gonna do 2 more later, you know? There, you have a very specific project in mind. For us, this is about coordinating along with our other request for the referendum to try and make sure that we can stretch these dollars as far out as possible, stay above that 8% as long as possible, and, you know, a lot of this is going to depend on what happens at the state level too, and the federal level, to be honest. So.
Okay. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Director
Thank
Mason?
you. Can I?
Yeah, I just want to clarify.
I saw her hand first, sorry.
I had emailed too, but I think you answered, but like everything, like the itemized list on here is flexible. Like once
Yes.
it's approved, that we could change past. So there's, I mean, some things I don't necessarily agree with on here. Or I would maybe advocate for something different, but within those categories, we can kind of shift and we have that flexibility as a district. Okay.
And we would expect, like, when having conversations about an annual budget and preparing the next year's budget, like now you're going to have a specific conversation just about the capital projects levy.
Right.
What's the plan here with those dollars? Okay. And keep in mind, remember that all proceeds from this go to a particular fund balance. And so that will always be tracked and monitored and available for review.
And then
my second question was just like, we're showing this as a, flat 3.8, and like even some of the salaries, for example, as you go across the years, they're flat, which
They are
isn't
flat.
realistic probably, but will that be questioned at all, or do we need to
Um,
add any, like,
It
benefit
might be,
salary
but you also
increases?
noted that, you know, as was mentioned earlier, this is a fixed rate. So it is based upon what happens with our net tax capacity within the community. And it is a true statement that that fixed rate is applied to whatever that valuation is. So if the net tax capacity of the community for our school district does increase, the proceeds will increase. So that's where the instructional investment plan, to me, is the huge part about this, because should you not have these other items that you're needing to spend those dollars on, and there is a significant increase, that could potentially help to support things of that nature. Although you will see that once you start dollars moving towards that, you don't see me popping back out of it, right? So it's like, once you commit 1.2 mil, you need to commit 1.2 mil going forward, you know, for whatever it is that you're committing those dollars for, right? So, there is the thought that, yes, salaries will increase. Do you use it for lesser FTEs as you move forward? That's a possibility. You know, we're gonna have to fluctuate and work with that. When writing the review and comment, that's a very good point that I think we'll have to, you know, just inquire about, like, what's best. Do you show it, or do you just, you know that you're gonna have to kind of back off on what you actually use it towards?
Okay, yep, thank you.
Director France?
So that partially answered my question, because obviously with one increase in salary, we could eat up the entire 3.8 million. And we've been experiencing those significant, you know, rise in expenses over revenue for some time now. You know, as long as it falls within one of these categories, because my understanding is that one of their kickbacks are to make it as discrete as possible, so it can be proven in a separate report of how the money was spent. So they go through the narrative to make sure it's discrete.
Yep.
But if we run out of money in one place, as long as it ends up in one of those buckets, we're fine.
Right, and you'll see when you look at the next item on your agenda for the ballot language, that the utilities is brand new, right? So that's something that wasn't presented in our previous conversations. And so we would be asking for that to be added into it. And there's a couple of options we could do to include that in the ballot question. Remember how we have the list of things that it can be used towards? We want that to encompass everything that we would intend to use this for, and everything that we write the review and comment for.
The one other question that I had was, you know, 3.8 million for people who aren't dealing with a budget the size of ours, and the overriding expenses of fixed and staff salary and benefits, that takes up the largest percentage. We have very little flexible spending. My concern would be that, you know, people see, oh, I just gave you 3.8 million, but they don't see our actual utility costs. They don't see the costs of maintaining even the current security software throughout all of our buildings, or even maintaining the cameras and the storage for that. I mean, that could eat it all up. So, it would be nice if we had a running total of what our deficit is in these areas, and what the capital levy amount is actually contributing to. And over time, obviously, like you just said, we're trying to keep ourselves solvent as long as possible.
Right.
But that's what it is. We're still on a losing game. So trying to impress upon the community and the taxpayers, this money only can go so far, and it can be eaten up in a heartbeat by any one of these categories.
Yes, the capital project levy is not the answer
No.
for, it's one enhancement to help us push things a little further along, yep. But it is important that the public understands it, because the ballot language is such that it states facts, and it can be confusing for folks too. So we want to just try and help them understand it's not $38 million right up front, it's $3.8 million on an annual basis, depending upon what happens with the net tax capacity. If that were stable, that's 3.8 million. If it goes up, it's a little more. If it goes down, it's less.
Thank you.
Does the net text capacity ever go down, though? I mean, to
yeah.
be honest with you, I mean.
We've had somewhere statewide, we've had that issue, right? You know, particularly when they have various different changes in assessment valuations and such that can occur on a county or district's, a county level, right? That impacts school districts. But I mean, I'll be honest, to take a look at our net tax capacity, my anticipation is that there would be a slight and slow increase, but I'm not certain that we would see the increase that we saw in the last 10 years.
Yeah, because we all saw a huge increase. I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 years ago when the city reevaluated all the houses and everybody got upset about their tax statements, so, yeah. Anyway.
Anyone else?
Is the money on this, is this one-time, it's not one-time spend money, because it can be used for salaries, though. So it's not like fund balance money, it's, as long as it's used within these categories.
Right, it's an annual $3.8 million that generates revenue every year.
Right.
And it can be used on certain salaries, right? The only salaries it can really be used on are those that are tech-related or teaching tech and other, so much of our curriculum comes to us now through e-learning. Like you have to be able to know and understand how to instruct that too. So only certain positions within our district would be qualifying for this, along with our technology department. So you do see that's the bottom line there, with a portion of their salaries. It's most of it.
Well, that's what SALBEN means.
SALBEN, salary benefits. Sorry, some of my shorting of words. Yep.
I was about to ask that, and now I feel a little silly.
Anyone
you.
else?
And I would agree also, like, just knowing that this is not final, because like, as our community goes on here and sees this, I think it's really important, because there's things on here I fully support, and there's things that I would not support. But that will be ultimately up to the district to bring to the board, whoever's sitting at this table, to vote for whether or not they support it or not.
Yep. But this is an indication of what are we thinking about, you
Right.
know? So, you know,
But then I think it needs more work, to be honest with you.
Oh,
You know what I
certainly.
mean? With more
Internally, it
input from
will.
the board and from our community. And I think that there's some opportunities with our new superintendent coming on board to possibly do some listening and learnings and all that type of stuff. Because that's part of crafting the language of the levy, so.
it's kind of like the LTFM plan, if you think of it that way. It's like every year you have to really fine tune it and the next 2 years and make sure you're kind of on track.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Can I ask what we're voting for, please? Voting on?
Yes, please. The motion and second on the table is the capital project levy to authorize administration to prepare and.
Just to repair the review and comment. Okay,
The review and comment.
okay, thank you.
You good? Okay, all in favor?
Ballot language is presented.
Yes. We are on item M, authorize administration to prepare and submit review and comment to the Minnesota Department of Education as defined within the ballot language as presented.
Okay, I want to get clarification though on something, because on the agenda that's on our website right now, if you click agenda, it's different than what we're looking at in our board packet, and it says, under M, it says ballot language for November 3rd. The resolution calling the election will be on the July board agenda for board action.
Yeah,
So there's conflicting information on there's two different agendas, basically, and I wasn't sure what we're voting on tonight, to be honest with you. If you go look on our website, click agenda, which is the agenda our community would have access to, and go under M.
so not board book, but
Correct, not board book.
What point?
I have a printed copy of it right here, and the
14M.
reason I noticed it is because I had a printed copy.
It was this,
14M
because this
is the
goes with
same.
this.
Thing on the,
When did your copy get printed? Because sometimes they print it before it's finalized,
Separate though, it's a separate.
like on Monday or Tuesday of last week. Yeah.
The 14M.
It's on there right now, actually, because I can see
it's
it.
not,
It's not.
So go plsas.org
I'm on it.
and click agenda.
I'm on.
yep.
Right.
So we're on the
14M.
website, and 14M, as I read it off of the,
And it's highlighted in red.
No.
and it says ballot language for November 3rd, 2026. The resolution calling the election will be on the July board agenda for board action. So under here, where it says meeting schedules and agenda,
Yeah.
click the word agenda. Click the word agenda.
He's on it right now, I'm watching it. Yeah, it's the same as what,
Right here, click on the board meeting, you click for board packets.
Not board packets, it's under the word agenda.
Under the word agenda.
so when they submit the preliminary agenda on the
But that's what
thing
our,
on
that's what our
Monday-
community would see as an agenda. I'm just asking
If
for
they searched
clarification.
for it that way,
Well, that's how most,
I mean,
I
could
had
click
somebody
for
call
board
it
packets
to my attention
personally.
today, so.
Yeah.
That the board packet wasn't actually on the board packet.
Well, it's there now.
I understand it's there. It's usually on there on Friday. So if you look under agenda, I'm not making stuff up, guys.
No, I know what you're talking about, and I think
I'm just
what
trying to get
happened
a
was is
clarification. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm trying to get clarification on what we're voting on this
So
evening.
what we're voting on is authorizing administration to prepare and submit review and comment
For this.
for this. For
Then what else are we voting on this evening regarding, because
the next item on the agenda is
ballot language for November 3rd.
the ballot language.
For the operating.
okay, and that's where on the agenda, it says that that will be on the July board agenda.
Went into,
Do you see it, Dr. Thomas? There's a bunch of red highlights on there.
I'm sorry, Director Atkinson, I'm not seeing, when I go to the school board and I click on school board meetings.
No, you have to click on the word agenda.
yeah,
What-
I know what she's talking about, and that's the preliminary agenda that's released the Monday before the school board meeting that's subject to change. It's just the outline.
But it's on the agenda.
No meat in it, nothing like that. And so as the agenda gets finalized,
We call a
you
recess
click on the
till we
board
can get this
packet.
figured out, because I think we just need to get clarification on what we're voting on this evening.
Are you making a motion for a recess?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for recess.
I don't think you have to make a motion for recess, do
Yeah, I
you?
don't think.
Yeah, well, if you're not doing it, calling it, then yes.
It's-
But that's just the cheat sheet.
I know, but I need the cheat sheet. So you want to make a motion for a recess?
I want to get this figured out, and I'm happy to walk over and show you what it says on our website. And I'd like to get clarification on what we're voting on this evening. Because our community, if they're looking at the agenda, it says we're voting on this on the July board agenda.
Okay. Is there a second for the motion to recess?
Sure. Second.
Second by Director Johnson. All in favor to recess?
5-minute recess.
And
For a
that's the
5-minute
summary
recess?
she releases
Say
before
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we can recess for 5 minutes and figure this out.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just showed it to him. shift too, so yeah.
Again,
And
that's
we've
what's
had it
confusing.
that way forever, so
The ballot language.
it's
It's not clear what we're voting
only,
on.
It wasn't on there separate initially, so I wonder if maybe that you have a old one.
So we are going to be voting.
Mics are on now.
Mics are on. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to come back to the motion on the table, which is item number, are we on 14? 14M, the capital project levy. Authorize administration to prepare and submit review and comment to the Minnesota Department of Education as defined within the ballot language as presented. We have a motion and a second on the table, and we will now go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item, I will take a motion and a second for the next item, which is the ballot language for the November 3rd, 2026. Again, can I get a motion and a second?
Who made?
By Director Mason.
Second.
And a second by Director Johnson. This recommendation is to place a 10-year operating levy as question 1 with contingent question 2 for a 10-year capital levy request on the November 3rd ballot. Dr. Thomas and Dr. Ryder.
Thank you, Chair Bullion and
Director Ryder.
board directors. So this evening, you have ballot language that we've worked with our attorneys and elders to craft as a sample, and there are some requirements that have to be in the language very specifically based upon how it's written. What you are seeing tonight, after a lot of discussion that we've had with you all as a board, we've talked as an admin team, in terms of where would that dollar threshold be. What you are seeing tonight is a recommendation at the additional $32 a month, which totals $1385.97 per pupil, and that was in tab B, I think, in the budget this evening, or table B in the budget. And then, so that's what is reflected in the ballot language. I know some folks were asking about, the 32 versus the total, and this is the total that was from those tables that we've been talking about. So with that, I will turn it to Director Ryder for additional context and the conversations that we've had for setting the ballot language for both the operating as well as the capital levy.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. So we have 2 questions on this special election ballot. The first question being the revoke and replace of our current referendum, which is $623.97. Replacing that, and this question's written to a new authorization of $1,385.97. And then the information in here also talks about it being 10 years, and it does state in here that an increase each year by the rate of inflation beginning with taxes payable in 2028. There is no step up on this question. It is just that question.
Any questions, board members? Director France?
are we committing ourselves also to the rate that's in there at the $32 amount, or is that still up for discussion? Just the language or or the rate also?
So the confusion over the calling of the election, that will not happen till July.
Okay.
Tonight, we're hoping for action on the ballot language, which allows us then to continue on our communications plan regarding the levy, as well as the writing of the review and comment with regard to question number 2. Okay? So what we would hope for is that we would have an idea of what we're using on this dollar amount in question 1, and that's what we would be building our plan with, and we would have that kind of solid from the board. If that action can't be made tonight, you would need to do it when you call the election. You cannot do it after you call the election. You won't have, yeah, so, does that help?
It does, but.
When is that? Sorry. When is that? What date is that, when you call the election, when we call?
We have it on the July
July.
13th meeting.
Okay, yep.
But isn't it until August 11? I thought the first,
That very well may be, but
remember there was a graph and
Yeah.
there was dates, and I
Yeah.
thought it was August 11th, which I feel is late.
Yeah.
But
So
given
we
the
have
fact
our
that we're in
calendar
November election,
that's
that
going to
makes
allow
sense.
for the build out of the campaign too as well. So our calendar shows a July approval. But you're right, there's a
Could be-
later
it could
date
go to
of
August.
drop dead, kind of, yep.
Yeah. That's why when I saw the date of July,
I think our board meeting in August is August 10th, and I think the deadline is August 11th.
I don't know, I don't have the
So
calendar.
I
in front of
think,
me,
I think it was like just a day away, and that's cutting it kind of close.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, we can make a motion and I can talk after that.
We do have a motion and a second on the table.
I have another question. I just want to be very, very clear. The language is not the final declaration, we're going with the 32, the 46, or the 67. It's just the language that will still be discussed.
By the time you call the election, like if you were to take action tonight on this ballot language to allow us to move forward with this stuff, then, and you changed your mind about the amount, it would have to be done before you call the election. Am I making sense there? In July.
Yes.
Yep, so we have tonight's meeting and we have July 13th meeting. So we, I know that there's been, at our last meeting, there was some dialogue about question 1, question 2, and exactly what those numbers are gonna end up being, right? Can we do one without the other kind of thing and make a decision? The recommendation is you don't call the election till you have everything completely figured out and you know where you're going with it. Does that make sense? So tonight, if we can decide on question 1 dollar amount, that's what we will run with. Tonight, with question 2 ballot language, also having a few little tweaks to it. If we can get that decided, the review and comment will reflect what that says, okay?
Okay, so with that in mind, I'd like to see it worked up with the $46 amount and not the 32. I feel that that's putting us way too close to the edge, and we have to go out right away, meaning we have to spend money on another election way too soon. So I would like that to be considered as far as the language in here, or the workup that you did. Now, the rest of the language would be fine, just that a dollar amount field
That is
would
the
change.
only thing in question 1 that you would have to change.
That's, yeah.
You have to decide on the dollar amount you want showing there. And so the 1385.97 is reflective of the approximate $32 per month we talked about as a taxpayer impact to the average value home, and would generate approximately $7 million in addition to what we currently receive of 5.7 mil. The amount of, well, the other 2 amounts I pulled off from past slides that Elders has provided to us, so I mean, I have the dollar amounts in front of me that I could speak to if there's questions about those.
Point of information, I believe,
Say it again?
point of
Sorry.
information.
Oh, sure. I didn't
Correct
hear
me
you
if I'm
well.
wrong, but I believe at our last meeting, we gave board consensus to just move forward with the $32. I think we would need board consensus to add additional
We would need that.
46, correct?
So we did have board consensus on the $32. And what I'm hearing the district administration team asking for is action tonight on the amount, the 32. So Director Frant,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chair Bullion, if I may say, it's the 32 and the operating levy as well, the language in
Yes.
both.
The capital levy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the capital levy, thank you, Director. The operating levy and the capital levy combined.
The contingency.
The contingency, yep. And I'll just share, if I may, in you all of, I'm not gonna recant a lot of what we've discussed in our previous work sessions, but, the question was, how do we find that fine line of balance between what we actually believe would actually pass? And we've had multiple discussions here at the table. Our team, I can tell you right now that we leaned more for addressing a higher operating levy threshold. But as we had more conversation, we leaned towards the 32, knowing that that's where we had those $2 figures as a board, where we were kind of straddling. And for us, the 32 plus the capital actually allows us to do some work around the supports of our schools. It is not ideal in terms of what we would want. We agree to Director Francis' point that we are right on that edge. And we also know that we're right on the edge of whether it's going to pass or not. To not pass is much more consequential than to be on the edge with something that we have that we can begin to get momentum and develop some proof concept of a return on that investment to show what are we doing to enhance our schools. So I just want to give the board that context of a little bit behind the scenes of some of our deliberations as a leadership team, what brought the recommendations to you all tonight.
Director France?
We did do a community survey, and they did go for the 46 or higher. We do have momentum with a lot of the people who have noticed the cuts, and we've got a huge momentum from community groups, realtor groups in particular, who are afraid of a stagnant and volatile economic outlook and know how much an underfunded school district means to anybody's ability to maintain their home values. So we have heard from a tremendous number of people to the board saying that they support the 46. And if we get that momentum and we actually do go out and we, as a board and support our schools, all of us, then I have every confidence that this would pass, because we're actually asking for only $1 amount above where it was before, but hopefully we won't have the misinformation campaigns this time. That's the hope, because obviously there's a lot of confusion. People really think that revenue is exceeding expenses. It is absolutely not. We're cutting expenses in order to balance the budget, and we're cutting them down to bare bones. So that information needs to come out clear. My goodness, the support that came in just from cutting choir, was tremendous, as well as the fact that when you look at the graphs that a third party created that shows us going out for another needed levy. If we have one change at the state with special education, we're in trouble. That operating levy won't help as much. So we need to consider the full impact here, and that we need to prepare the community that we're going to have to go out for another levy with about in a year after this one passes, based upon when we actually receive the money, in order to keep above, subsistence level.
Director France, I think your comments are heard, and I think that when I'm listening to you, listening to all the feedback that we've had come into the board, and one of the things that is what I've been thinking about a lot is kind of along the same lines as in our superintendent search, how we've come together as a board on a candidate and the power that has. When the district is coming forward with a recommendation that has been talked about as being a floor level, but then with the second option, offering, with the capital levy, the second question, offering some, some additional funding later. I hear you and what you're saying, and I think your comments are valid, and many people are in line with them. I think that there's another aspect that we have to pay attention to as a board. It is, in all these conversations, the people that are engaged in the district and they're engaged with what's going on. There is differing opinions. There is the opinion that, like we've heard multiple times through community feedback, we heard it in open forum tonight, that, we need to stabilize and strengthen. And, I think that many of us would agree, we need to do that. I think that we have to come together as a board figuring what is the best way to do that. Because if this levy fails, there will be dire consequences for that. And while the people that are engaged and hearing and looking, there are definitely differing opinions on the amounts. And that is just the reality that we're dealing with. And it's a reality in which us 7 board members represent. And my ask to the board as we discuss this and then take a vote tonight is how do we come together on the amount? Because the last thing that we want to do is go forward arguing about where the amount was. We want to go forward in that we want this levy to pass. And I think that there's power in us coming into alignment as best as possible. One of the things that I've thought about personally as community feedback has come in is it's very hard to argue or quibble over $14 per month. In this day and age, it's just hard. Given what education supports, it's hard to, people are asking, why 32? Or, what's the how can we split the difference? Because every dollar does count. I think that, we have had a lot of conversations and the district, Dr. Thomas and his team, the board is, engaged in hearing from them, hearing from the community. The district staff themselves has too been listening to the community. And tonight, the motion before us is on the $32. If there is a, okay, so we're going to go to Robert's rules. If there's a motion a motion to amend the motion, that really has to come. The board will have to, we'll have to come together and decide. And I would implore the board to come to a conclusion that is more than a split vote. I would just implore us to do that because the district can't, in my singular opinion, it would be dire if another levy didn't pass. So how, again, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but this, it's my opinion. And I would be remiss in saying a 4-3 vote is good here. I think that we really, however we do it, we need to come together to say, we need to move together in the interest of supporting our schools with this levy. And how, as a board, do we want to do it? I mean, a 4-3 will do it. A 4-3 will, it'll pass.
Director Bullion, I'd just like to add, one of the things is, if you look at the levy that we're currently working on with the proposed amount, the 32, and then you add the capital levy, it's almost the same amount as what we had proposed last time, and that failed. And the feedback from our community, they voiced their opinion. I don't recall the votes offhand, how many people voted for or against. I know there was a big difference. It was 55% to 44% or whatever. It was a big difference. And that just tells us that we need to go back with a more affordable amount. Some of the feedback coming out of that levy, which I think is really valuable because it was, what did the vote no's? We asked them specifically, why did you vote no? We asked them very specifically. One of them was affordability, one was transparency of spend, and I went passed in the last couple days and have been watching the Morris Leatherman surveys that they've been doing, because this is a conversation many school districts are having. And the number one factor of things that they're hearing at this moment in time, Morris Leatherman, is a concern about high taxes and levies passing. And the average dollar amount, regardless of the district, you can go anywhere from Robbinsdale all the way up to Cambridge Asante to, I don't recall the third one I listened to, but the average dollar amount that people would support was between $10 and $20. And no, that's not our district, I understand that. But there was just some very common themes. Like I said, people are concerned with high taxes, affordability, and the amount of fraud in Minnesota. And then if they were to support a dollar amount, it would be between that 10 and 20. So the other thing they actually listed as well that I thought was very interesting is they said that for a successful levy campaign to pass, they have to have over 80% of the support from district parents. And when I look back at our survey that we did, that was highly focused on district parents, it was like 78%. So it's close, but it's not quite that 80%. So I feel very comfortable with this dollar amount, knowing that we are at the end of our 10-year renewal of our operating levy. I'm supportive of sending this to our community to decide. But I do believe our district has some work to do to clearly articulate how the funds will be used to gain the support that's needed for it to pass. So I am supportive of the dollar amount.
I just said one thing. I don't agree with Director Atkinson's assessment of how the survey was interpreted. And I think that's part of the confusion that we have. I also don't agree with the $10 to $20 amount and the fact that all of our surrounding districts have passed levies, and they're all being funded at almost twice the rate that we are, and we have higher home values here. And what I don't want to do in good conscience is spend the money, go for the levy, and then have to turn around with the slightest change in our economic outlook, and we know that state and federal funding is on the cusp of leaving us, particularly with special ed. There's a high probability where the majority of this money could be eaten up, and we currently have a $5.8 million subsidy for non-funding. So how do we, in good conscience, go out to them and say, please pass this? Oh, by the way, pass this too next year, because we should have asked for more in one fell swoop and just been honest about our current financial situation. And quite frankly, we're trying to attract people to move in here in order to keep our home values high. That's really hard to do if we continue to underfund our schools.
Well, and I think you made a good point. The board has to, the projections of where we've headed have been consistent over the years, even with the, last levy attempt. The projections have remained consistent. And we see the projections for the different dollar amounts. We've seen them over the last months and years, where we would be with certain levy amounts and where our fund balance would be projected. And so as a board, we are receiving the district's recommendation. But we also have to realize, like you said, Director France, that in a couple years, we could be in a space to ask again. And that projection has been something that has been before us for at least since I've been on the board. And that has remained consistent. And there are all kinds of varying opinions, and there always will be. I believe wholeheartedly that as a board, coming together in agreement as best we can on the amount, and also understanding what that amount means. The amount of 32, which is recommended, is also meaning that within, a couple of years, we're going to be facing another reality. So are we comfortable as a board to understand that and be willing to go out and ask again? We've gone out and asked twice with 2 fails, right?
And the
Since
second
past.
fail, traditionally, now, we've never passed a learning levy before, but we've never passed a standalone ops levy. But with every other building levy we've asked, the second one has passed overwhelmingly unfortunately, after we deal with the consequences. And that has been the history in this district for the past 30 years. That you go out once, it doesn't work, buildings get overcrowded, things get cut, parents get upset, and then all of a sudden, parents come out in full force, community comes out in full force, grandparents come out in full force to push to get as much as they can, simply because they don't want to see their schools, their community, and their kids be hurt. So we do have that going for us quite a bit.
Chair Bullion? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, let's
Go
hear from
ahead.
someone
That's
we
fine.
haven't
That's
heard
fine.
from, please.
Thank you. I will vote yes, no matter the amount, because we need a levy. So I am a yes for anything we have before us. Based on our survey, admittedly, it wasn't a huge turnout for the survey. I wish more people would have taken it. But it was a pretty overwhelming, look at the results of our survey. We have a lot of feedback. We've all had different conversations. We want community feedback. And I want to say thank you to the people who have provided feedback, no matter what the feedback is. That's really appreciated. We need to hear that. I've said it before, we have to think long-term. Even one of our superintendent candidates said, thank your future self. Do something that you can thank your future self. And I want to thank my future self. I want to thank our future selves here at the table. And I'm saying this out of unity. I'm saying this out of nothing but respect for the entire process. I don't want our community to come back to us in 2 to 3 years and say, why didn't you fight for this? Well, this is my effort to fight for this. This is my effort to fight for our kids. I don't like sitting on the floor. I would never invite any of us to sit on the floor. I don't want our community to sit on the floor. I want to offer a chair. And I would like to make a motion to move the number up on the average to 46, replace the 1385 with 1741. And I'm saying this out of unity. I'd really like to offer our community a chair. And so I really urge my colleagues to support that and hope I can get a second on that.
Second.
Okay, so there is, this is my strong suit, is this. So there is a motion and a second to amend the motion. Is that correct? Is that how to say it? Okay. The current motion.
That
In the-
replaces, the 1385 with 1741.
With 1740, is there sense?
It would be 1740.97.
1740.97.
Let's give it another 3 cents.
Okay, so there was a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh, what do I have to do?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, discussion.
I am in favor of leaving as is, and after our last meeting, I know we've had a lot of discussion over several months. Felt comfortable discussing with Dr. Thomas and the administration. Thank you for that feedback at the table too. I would just like to say also thank you to the community for feedback. I appreciate it. I certainly hear both sides of the argument, and for me, I feel like this is accommodating both sides of that, where it gives this option of the $32 to our community, and then also asks for additional money with the capital on top of that to support. So at the end of the day, it's more than the $46, it's $47, and could grow with net tax capacity. So, when we talk about the $46 a month graph, like, we're actually doing more than that, right? So with these combined. And so it's not a couple of years we would be back at it. It's, through 2031, I think, is the last graph, so, or close to it. So we're going out several years. Obviously, any forecast, there's many unknowns, things change, enrollment changes. Nobody can predict this. We saw with the last 10-year enrollment and how far we were off. So I feel comfortable with this amount. I would love to have more money. I would not feel comfortable going to the ballot with more than $32 because it would be detrimental if it didn't pass, and I do not have confidence based on constituent feedback that it would pass. And we've really struggled to get out to the non-parent, non-involved community, and that's who needs to support this. And I don't, hearing that feedback, I don't think we'll get the support we need at the 46 based on what I've heard in survey feedback and everything else in past levy. So I'm comfortable with 32. I'm not comfortable going above that. Again, with the capital, which allows us to actually be at 47 plus going up.
Anybody else?
Were you raising your
Director
hand?
Johnson?
Okay.
Director-
So, excuse me. So yes, the capital, this amount with the capital projects levy might give us security. We just heard from one of our public speakers tonight cautioning us against using that amount and saying that it will grow or that, because we don't know that, right? And there are all sorts of things that can happen between now and the future, which can dramatically affect what our district is able to do with the money and how much time this is going to buy us. We've already referenced the special education cuts numerous times. And if this is, again, a question of cross-subsidy spending, like that's going to eat away at this money. And it doesn't buy us the security that we think it is buying us right now. There is a part of this where you become what you tolerate. And I firmly believe that our best days as a district are not behind us. In my conversations with Dr. Thomas as well, I've heard, I have heard him talk about the $32 amount and that, yes, we wish it were more. But we think that we are turning this district around and we are turning it in the right direction. And if we need to go back to voters in a couple of years and demonstrate the progress that we've been able to make and say, look what the bare minimum got you, it's a good sell, right? But I strongly believe that we can get there faster if we choose to invest in it. And we heard, again, earlier tonight during public comment that schools have seen revenues increase without correlating to student success. And that's technically true. Though, as we have talked about in other contexts, that's only a piece of the story. It's only one piece of data. The reality is, some of this funding has increased, and it is tied to categorical aid. There's been unfunded mandates that has eaten into some of this revenue. And while it is true that this revenue signifies an investment in public education, it does not represent an increase in funding from this community. It is not an increase in funding from us as a collective. It is money from outside this district. And it was stated that the community wants a levy that is transparent, that is disciplined, and something they can trust. And I believe that's what Dr. Thomas and his team have given us. Of all the options, the $32 amount is the only one that does not give us any investment opportunities. They've been transparent that if we truly want to make investments to improve student outcomes, lower class sizes, $46 is the starting point. Not with the capital projects levy, not $32 with the capital projects levy, $46 in an operating levy. Last week, we talked about trust as it relates to the hiring of a superintendent. And I'm wondering, for those who wanted a 3-year contract, why are we so ready and willing to invest in someone we don't know versus the people who are in our district right now? We identified a superintendent candidate that discussed raising test scores and focusing on data and instruction to improve student outcomes. And I truly meant it what I said last week when I said that during deliberation, whoever is in that chair has my full support in assisting them in achieving the goals of our district. So again, I ask, why are we shortchanging that individual and not investing in the district to make sure that they can be successful? Let's give them a shot. We wanted it to be 3 years. Let's give them the opportunity to make it 3 years. Let's give them something to work with, not the bare minimum. And I know there's hesitation. I know it because the last levy amount was similar, and we don't want to see this fail. But if we get behind this, if we go with that theme of unity, and if we get behind a $46 amount, and it does end up failing at the ballot box, it will be devastating. But we will lose together if we unite behind this. And I know there will be a laundry list of reasons not to vote for 46. And I would ask us again to rely on the district and their analysis. Lowering class sizes has far and away been the #1 issue, and $46 is the only amount that addresses that. And a few weeks ago, because of community feedback, there were programs that were on the chopping block that were, the budget was altered to do what we could to save and spare those programs. And that same night, ironically, we were all given this medallion from the choir. And if we don't vote for 46 tonight, then I'm just going to hand this back to the district because we don't deserve it. Because it is only a matter of time before we have to look that choir department in the face or Spanish immersion in the face. And we have to look at them and say, sorry, tough decisions have to be made. And I hope that we have the conviction to make them at the time because we have the opportunity right now to change that outcome. We can. During the discussion around paring back those programs, constantly heard, God, I wish this wasn't the way. Gosh, I wish there was some other option. We have another option right now in front of us. So I am just going to hold on to this. I'm going to hope that I don't have to give it back. But if I do, then I will gladly part with it because, like I said, I don't think we deserve it.
Anyone else? Director Johnson?
Yep. I appreciate everything everyone said, and I agree. Everyone wants a higher dollar amount, and at least for myself, we're not the only district facing this, right? You know, we've got 300 plus school districts in the state and a funding formula that was created in 1971. There are problems that we are attempting to solve that are obviously, you know, that need to be done at a much higher level than what we sit here. And my goal is to be able to bring something to the ballot box that's going to pass. And I think that's the $32 amount. And I will leave that at that. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, can I get a point of information? Sorry.
Sure.
Point of information, Director France stated several times, this is the second time at the table, that we've never passed an operating levy. Just for my own knowledge, because my understanding is this was an operating levy that passed in 2017, and that's what this is the end of the 10-year renewal of that, correct?
I wasn't here then.
Okay.
But my recollection is that was probably true, but I think it was also at the same time as a bond.
Well, there was a bond for 100.
Combined with the bond. It was not a learning levy, it was an operating level to pay for the long-term facilities, maintenance facilities, staff, et cetera, and the utilities to keep the new space and the new buildings open. None of that money went back to improving educational programs, into any of our learning. It was low because it was based on an overestimated enrollment projection that then caused us to actually go into our 5 going on 6-year rate of cutting because we were not getting enough money in.
So I appreciate it's still an operating levy, though. And if you go back on our website, it's exactly what it says.
we're-
So I'm just
It was 10
clarifying
years ago.
that.
Let's,
So-
we don't
Can
So
I
I
add
just
one
want to
more
make sure
point?
it's important, because the other thing that is important to note is that if this doesn't pass, we as a board are going to be faced with an even harder decision. The state law allows this board, which we could do this here tonight, I could make a motion, we could scrap all of this, and we could renew our current levy, which I think is a disastrous idea, because I think it's a bad levy. It's a low amount, it has no inflationary factor. But at that moment in time, when there was that $100 million bond that our school district was trying to pass, they knew, and I've talked to previous board directors, they knew they had to bring an affordable levy to our community. It actually was 9-something at the time. It's listed as 9-something on the ballot if people go back and look at it. So I do not want to be sitting here knowing that as a board director, I'm going to take those voting rights away from our constituents and pass our auto renewal levy, which is many districts are doing that right now. You can go back and just see the list of the districts who are doing that. So it's a tough time to be in the levy business right now for school districts. So I just wanted to clarify that, and again, I support the amount that the district is proposing.
We're also just adding something that our community hasn't seen in, at least in the previous levy or in the one that was passed, right? The inflationary factor, which we saw how much it would have changed, right? So again, that's another factor for me, right? The $32 just makes sense because it also has the inflationary factor, so.
Director France.
So I like what Director Smith said, you become what you tolerate. Because in the 2017, the board was reluctant to pass the inflationary number because they were afraid the community wouldn't pass that. So they took it out knowing it was going to lead us into debt sooner than later. I personally don't want to be on this board and have to go through next year discussing another levy and greater cuts. And that's exactly what's going to happen, because then we would go out for a levy the year after that and then not receive it. But the $32 will put us in statutory will save us 1 year's statutory operating debt. And then if, and statistically speaking, the second option on the levy, as well as the trust fund and everything else that's going to go on to this next ballot, makes the capital levy that much harder actually to pass. So I don't think it's even wise of us to depend on both of those. Those are 2 additional actions on top of everything else that's going to be on the midterm ballot. So we actually lose our choices. As far as other districts being the same spot, yeah, they are. But those districts that renewed their levy, renewed them at a way higher rate than what we're even trying to get through. So we are still, even after this, we will still be the lowest or second to the lowest funded district in our conference, in that West Metro that we compare ourselves against. So if people want to make academics their top priority, then you invest in it. Period. That is the way. And again, we become what we tolerate. And if we're going to tolerate what happened in the last election and the comments about overrun administration rates and all this stuff, yeah, we get more revenue every year, but our expenses actually go up farther than the revenue does. And the Ehlers report that the entire state uses shows that. It has never, ever gone over. Unfortunately, it's been equal a couple of years, but it's never gone on over. So we need to understand, are we going to just tolerate still doing the minimum exhausting our staff, having good staff leave before retirement age because they can't stand teaching anymore because the stress is so high, the resources are so low, and then still beat up our leadership because test scores don't go up. I mean, what are you doing? Again, I go back to the analogy. You're telling a starving man to eat less and, oh, by the way, produce more work. It doesn't work that way. If you want something in any way, shape, or form, you invest in it. And we're not asking for a lot. $14, as you said, Chair Bullion, is not a lot. And the majority of houses, actually, especially with economic downturns and what we're seeing with the real estate market right now, probably will not pay that because that's for 550 and over, I believe, for home values.
525 we were
525. So with that, yeah, and even people with real estate on that side, by the time they get done with the valuation, don't necessarily pay even the 45 or the 46. So we have to take that into consideration. And what are we going to tolerate? Are we going to tolerate still sitting on the bottom rung of every ladder? We have an excellent district where our teachers have gone above and beyond with less and less resources and larger class sizes. And they're still treading water. And they're going to drown. And we're giving them the minimum to keep treading water, and then we're going to go under. And if we think we're going to pass another levy with the way that our economic outlook is looking for the United States right now, I don't think that's going to happen. So, and by the way, the community should be mad because it costs a lot of money to put on these elections. So are we being fiscally responsible by having more and more elections and then each time telling them, just give us a little bit more just to keep above, basically dying of starvation? It's not fair to people. People don't operate like that in their regular lives. So we shouldn't be tolerating, and we should all come together and fight for our schools. We have a strong Say No campaign that a lot of people participated in, but they also did it, to be fair, with false numbers, false graphs. We have a third-party Ehlers coming in and showing us these graphs. Okay, we didn't just make them up. The financial numbers can be explained. We just need to go out there and work for this. And I believe this district is worth fighting for. And if we all come together and work for it, it's amazing what we can accomplish and how far we can get if we actually don't tolerate the minimum.
I have a clarifying question. So thank you, board members, for all of the input and like other board members have said, the community input. My clarifying question, either Dr. Thomas or Dr. Ryder, I'm looking at the graph that you have been sharing with the community, with the board for a long time. And my clarifying question is this graph depicting both the operating levy and the capital levy combined, or is it just the operating?
So this line graph here that we've created is incorporating just the operating levy. This does not, I'm pointing up there thinking it was up there. It does not, this does not have the capital levy consideration.
So my question, I don't know if it's available to the board right now. I'm hoping that it is with the second on the amended motion on the table that we are figuring out. But my question is, where does that move that needle? So the graph that we're looking at here with just the operating levy, it shows that we would be falling under that baseline in the 28-29 school year. And I want to know where that line goes with the added capital levy ask.
As it's been pointed out, dollar-wise, the capital projects levy will generate a little more than the difference between the 32 and the 46.
Okay, so it puts us to the 20,
It
just
puts us-
beyond the 2030, 2031.
As far as total dollar amount, yes.
Okay.
The capital statute is what we must follow for the capital projects levy. So that's where the instructional usage of the capital projects levy to make room for instructional would be a method, a tool we would have to use to truly see that capital projects levy be used to the benefit
understand.
of the classroom. Yep.
I understand because, yep.
Yeah, so we would essentially, this is an enhancement to the operating levy that we would only be able to use statute-approved capital expenditures for that capital levy, which then frees up some of our general fund that we're paying capital costs that allows us to make those enhancements into the classrooms. And to your question, this gives us roughly about $3.8 million more a year. So the question, and I don't want to speculate, this is something we can come back to the board, is if we were able to offset the general operating fund, Director Ryder, with the capital levy, with that freed up dollar, how does that extend the life of this bar graph? Are we at end of fiscal 30? About fiscal 30 is where from our conversations, that would extend. Now, to one of our community members' points, and not that it would be drastically much more, but as valuations go up, there could be a little bit of extension, but probably nothing that's going to bring us up to an entire fiscal year.
Valuations are already starting to drop.
Yeah. So if, and I'm saying if they go up, yeah.
That's,
Thank you for clarifying that. So there's an amendment to the motion made by a first and a second, and now I have to find out if we're approving that amended motion. So all in favor of the
Can we
amended.
do a roll call vote, please?
Yep, I will do that. All in favor of the amended motion, I will do a roll call vote. Director Smith, I'll start with you.
Aye.
Director France?
aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Nay.
Director Johnson?
No.
Director Atkinson?
Nay.
And I am an aye. So that amended motion passes 4-3. And so, now the motion standing on the table is recommending let me get back to it. I can do this.
Well, didn't we just, didn't it pass with
Yeah.
We passed it
We
with
just
the
passed
amended.
it.
Yeah.
the
Oh,
amended
it's
motion.
Yeah, with the
passed.
amended
Okay,
language.
thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the Roberts rules, okay. Thank you. That motion passes 4-3. So, moving on to the next agenda item.
If I may, question 2 has to be addressed yet.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
don't listen to me. Why would you listen to me?
Hey, it's all good. Okay, so, I'm on,
It's all part of it because it's the ballot.
are we still on N?
Yes.
It's all part of one motion.
Yeah, I thought it was all part of one motion. We
So what
voted
if-
on the whole ballot and the language and changing the one piece of that.
Okay, so, I mean,
So we just approved the 1740-97, and we approved the capital levy. If
As-
No,
it's
the ballot
written?
language.
the ballot language.
okay.
That's what this agenda item
And
states.
utility service costs included?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
what
We
I'm
all
talking about.
confuse each other. Okay. Moving on to policy. Okay. Tonight, we have one policy on the agenda, and that is policy number 621.1. It has been reviewed and read prior to this, so this is second reading and final action. I will take a motion and a second.
So made.
By Director Johnson,
Second.
by Director Smith. Is there any,
If you want to have a discussion.
Do you have anything to share, Director Coffey?
Attached into, and Dr. Bezick is here as well too, if he wants to speak on it or not, but attached in the board was the chart, and I had asked Principal Bezick to add, the question was on from the honors standpoint to consider weighing those, and he did add that into the chart as well as what our surrounding districts are doing in regards to honors. And as you can see on the chart, as of this point in time, currently no other district around the area is weighting the honors classes.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That passes 7-0. Next up is administrative reports. And are there any administrative reports at this time?
Thank you, Chair Bullion and directors. I just wanted to quickly, I know in some of the past board meetings, we've talked about, the unfortunate nature of how school districts staff, and we've gone through that process, and it's never easy, and it's been noted, but one of the things I believe, one of the directors, I believe it was Director Atkinson, had asked of me is that as we are moving through this process to kind of keep the board updated on where we're at with some of that. And I know one of the times there was that long list of unfortunate non-renewals and then some of our ULAs. And as of right now, coming into this board meeting, we have either been able to rehire or recall 15 of those individuals back from that list. So a little bit more than a third of that list of our non-renews or ULAs have either currently been recalled or rehired simply due to whether, maybe another staff member resigned or retirements or other kinds of things like that. So I just wanted to provide that information back to the board. Like I said, the cycle of how school district staff is never enjoyable, but these are kind of the ebb and flows that you go through when you have to bring staff back from either recalling them from their unrequested leave or from their non-renewal. So I just wanted to provide that update.
Thank you.
Said 15?
Yep.
15.
15.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Any other administrative reports? Hearing none, we will move on to board reports. Director Atkinson, would you like to start?
Nothing.
Okay. Director Johnson?
Thanks to everyone for a fantastic graduation. It was great. Great call on moving it forward an hour. So Dr. Bezek, whatever you had at play in that, good job.
And
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks, so, just wanted to, comment, obviously, the SI negotiations in progress, and was grateful to attend the Twin Oaks All-Star Breakfast, celebrating Laker traits of students for accountable, respectful, and safe behavior. Just a fantastic event, so kudos to the staff for putting that together for those students and parents and families. Also just, handing out your books and graduation and all the fun things in the school that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks has been great. And end of year celebration last Friday was great for the staff, and congratulations to all of those educators. And then it's been a while now, but I sent out the May 12th Finance and Ops meeting note as well as SEEK, so I'll just highlight a couple of things on those. Finance and Operations, we obviously went through the same Levy and Eller's presentation. Maybe just of note is just the community feedback that sort of came out of there was just around really stressing the need for clear and transparent communication on the levy, and concerns about voter confusion and with the multiple questions, and then lack of third-party local media, the newspaper, and of course all those things highlighted. So a lot of the same feedback, but I think important to note. And then talked about the transportation updates. I think that was the gist of it. So, and then the SEEK meeting also sent those notes out to the board, but I would say largely focused on the transition programming and the Laker launch is what it's named after the students selected. The enrollment is higher than expected. Talked a lot about what that program will offer to our students, so it's fantastic. Talked a little bit about summer programming and extended school year, the growth in special education. So I think worth highlighting for our district too is just, 10% growth overall. And I believe it was about 60% growth in center-based services, which is, huge numbers that we're having to support those students. We talked about staffing and funding updates and then just legislative updates also for SEEK and Unified, of course, too, and some of the opportunities that have come with Unified programming this year. So there's a lot more there. I'll let you board members read through that. And then just finally wanted to publicly say thank you to Dr. Thomas for your service to our district and for your leadership and dedication. And, I've enjoyed and it's been a pleasure kind of learning from you over the last year and a half and working with you. So thank you.
Director Olstad.
Yes, wonderful graduation. It's amazing what can be pulled off. And thank you, Principal Bezick and the entire team for that well-run ship. And congratulations to our national speech champs, national champions in duo. So Chloe and Jaden got that. So that was really, really cool to see. So congratulations to them. And I echo finally my appreciation and admiration for you, Dr. Thomas. I'll miss our Texas pecan coffee dates because that's the coffee that you can taste. And I appreciate that. And you have a heart for kids that is unmatched. And Hopkins is very lucky to have you. And you're just a gem of a human being. So thank you for everything.
Director France.
Well, the last week of school was incredibly busy. MinCaps was phenomenal as usual. We had not only Shark Tank, but end-of-year presentations, and just every year it just gets better. And what those teachers do, even though, and the leaders of that program, even though they've had staff cut, and the program grew, has just been nothing less than heroic. I've been very appreciative over the past 10, 11 years to mentor, sponsor, and judge Shark Tank every year. And like I said, it's just the kids are great. The opportunities are great. It's a phenomenal program. I also had the opportunity to visit several schools on their last day in the last week. Of course, emotions are mixed, but I want to have a special call out to Westwood. Despite everything that was going on, I have never walked into a more fun building on a last day than I've ever seen. They had bubble machines, they had outdoor science experiments, they were going and seeing the rock garden, and I realized that I actually have an adopted son at Westwood too, which is kind of a private, hilarious little story. Which was a joke from one of the kids. But that was wonderful. Everybody was doing so well with everything. As far as scale, our last meeting, we had a thorough review of the watershed. A lot of work no one knows that our county does, and the impact that is going to have to do with less federal funding to help our clean water projects. And then, as a reminder, Scales is inviting all the finance directors, I believe in September now, to have a panel discussion for our county leaders on school finances, the impact and the need to change that 1971 formula. And also a large part of the discussion in the agenda was about that 10% increase in SPED in our district and a 60% growth in the life skills, because that is one of the areas where our biggest money goes as far as the underfunded portion, and that is something that, of course, the state has a high probability of cutting even more funding for that, leaving all districts in an upside down cross subsidy that just gets worse. Teaching and learning was done for the year. It didn't meet. It won't meet again until, I believe, September. And then a special thank you to Dr. Thomas. Hopkins is incredibly lucky to have you. And I thank you for your service, your tenacity, your steadfast demeanor, and your ability to stay the course regardless of what's going on around you. It's quite impressive. And I just wish you would stay, but you're not. So I just know that Hopkins is very, very lucky to have you. So thank you very much. And a final call out to the incredible security and decision-making that happened at our graduation. Somebody did point out the drones to me and the as we were walking up, the extra camera services, everything that was going on, and the fact that we started doing this before there was an incident is incredible, because now we're making it the norm. And that's really important for the safety of our community and our students, and the work that went into that, and the last-minute weather decision, which was a lifesaver. That's just an example of the incredible staff that Dr. Thomas has led and developed and hired in his time here, in his tenure here. So shout out to all of that. That was absolutely incredible. Thank you.
Dr. Smith?
Yeah, there were some, Director Mason from Finance and Operations Committee and Special Education Advisory Committee, so she already covered those, so I'll skip that. Speaking of success in arts activities and athletics, congratulations to the baseball team for making the state tournament. I believe, is it Thursday at 4:30? Yes. Okay, Thursday at 4:30. So, best of luck to the Lakers and their continued success. But that was really great news to get on. Did we get that on graduation day? I think we got that on graduation day. Yeah. All right. So, speaking of graduation, this has just been incredible. As somebody who was not aware of the honor that we would get to hand out diplomas to graduating students, that was really awesome. It was quite something. I also attended the Bridges graduation ceremony and dinner, and that was phenomenal for a lot of different reasons. And credit to Dr. Brown and his staff for putting on such an amazing event and recognizing those students, because it was really heartwarming. And I commented to Director Olsted at the end of graduation, like, this is why we do it, right? Like, that was, it was incredible. And then the end of year celebration, getting to participate in that, or at least attend, and see the recognition for our teachers and our staff and the things that they're doing every day. It's such a wonderful end to the year. And if this is all she wrote for me for my service on the board, then that made it all worth it. So, I will also, who also, by the way, the District Leadership Award, the recipient of that is sitting right here as well. And Dr. Thomas, I don't even know where to start. I know when I made my first public comment and you were the one that contacted me, I felt like I was talking to a rock star. Like, you are a phenomenal human being. And it's been the honor of a lifetime to be able to work with you these past couple of months. And Hopkins is incredibly lucky, but we've been lucky for the last couple of years because you've been in our district and you've been our leader. And I have not forgotten that, Chair White, at the end of his term, remarked that He'd worked with a number of superintendents, and by far you were the best, and that we had the right person in the right chair at the right time. And I just wish it was a little longer. But he was right. He was absolutely right. And Dr. Anderson, don't think I've forgotten about you either. You have made quite a mark on this district in your short time here, and I know that there are a number of individuals that have been, myself included, that have been wowed by your work and your ability to build capacity. So again, same, Northfield is incredibly lucky. Congratulations to you, and thank you for all you've done for the district. Really appreciate it.
I'd like to second that. I'm sorry if I left you out. But
He's over there just thinking, oh,
yeah,
nobody's
he's
there.
very quiet, but he's very impactful.
Yes.
And our district is also suffering a great loss. You were phenomenal in the year that you were here. Thank you.
Well, luckily, I get to end with that same sentiment, is just one of gratitude. For you, Dr. Thomas, and your leadership. I shared it before. I shared it at the end of your celebration. It has been such a great honor to learn from you, lead with you, lead aside you, just all of the things. It has been an honor. Dr. Anderson, I would say the same. You are not my one employee, so I didn't have as much time with you, but from the very first time that I met you, it was like I'd known you forever. And one thing that is so telling is when unsolicited, positive accolades come, and the amount of accolades that have come unsolicited from not only staff, but community members, students who have interacted with you both, that just says so much. And I know that neither of you are in it for the accolades, and that's what makes it even more special. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and best wishes to all the next. And that extends to all of our staff.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to just say thank you to certain people. But Dr. Thomas, your leadership has really been impactful to the entire organization, from the board table all the way down into the classroom. It's kind of like our strategic plan. We wanted it to be living and breathing and reach down even into households, and it has done that, and that's thanks to you. So that was my board report. And we will move to future events, which is, there is a special meeting on June 15th. Negotiations are underway, as Director Mason shared. And so the special meeting on June 15th will hopefully solidify our next superintendent. And then we have our next school board meeting, which is July 13th. Enjoy the summer, rejuvenate, and I hope that everyone is rejuvenated and gets rest, enjoys the summer, but the board still has a lot of work to do. And we're going to do that. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So made.
And a second by Director Mason. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Nay.
And we are, you're really?
We get to hold on to him for a little bit longer.
Okay, we are adjourned. That was a 6-1. Okay. Who was, I'm gonna take the.
I couldn't help myself,
was
had
it?
to. Thank you.
I'd like to say a lot more. Dr. Anderson. Good stuff. Thank you for your leadership here and